From a body language and behavior perspective, you're going to know everything about Meghan Markle in her interview with Fortune magazine. Now, there's a lot going on here. She's trying to restructure the way you see her. So we're going to pay attention not only to her body language and behavior, we're going to pay close attention to what she says and how she says it.
As you and your husband were planning this out, how did you think about what you wanted to do, what your ambitions could do, and from your seat, what you could do for women?
Well, I think 5 years ago was a very different situation for all of us. And, Archie was so little, and I had just gotten pregnant with Lily around that same time. So we were nesting and healing, and also...
Right out of the gate, we hear something we haven't heard before. She refers to Harry as her husband.
As you and your husband were planning this out,
this is step one in creating that foundation for you to see her in a different light.
And as we started to get into our producing through our deal with Netflix.
Now notice this circular finger illustration thing she's doing. She only does this when she's talking about business. She's under the impression that makes you think she's doing something. She's actually working and using her hands and thinking and structuring this business.
I don't know if I had the bandwidth at that time to think about what the big picture dream was. There was no plan. It was just...
She's not fully relaxed yet. She's still a little bit stiff, and her movements are a little bit stiff as well.
Let's get through these next couple of years, create community, which was always so important to both of us.
So let's pay attention to her cadence, how fast she speaks.
Then as we started to get into our producing through our deal with Netflix, really creating projects that we felt were compelling. And then I said, okay.
Let's listen to the tone of voice. Let's listen to how high it is, how rough it is, and how loud it is.
I've always loved being able to share. I've always loved being able to cook and entertain. Is there a business here?
Throughout this interview, those things are going to change.
And I think it was probably most people's assumption that if I was going to go into business, it would be fashion or beauty.
This answer sounds like a simple answer. However, there's a lot going on in here. She talks about being a mom. She talks about the way she dresses and how she dresses like you. She's not wearing all these pretty clothes all the time. She's in the kitchen and she's making a lot of jam. These are the things that are supposed to resonate with you, the person who's watching her demographic, as she starts to change who she is to the public perspective.
And what you're looking for is, what are the consumer behaviors and habits? What are the products that they're gravitating to? And I had this incredible fortune of having every SKU sell out within under an hour, which is amazing. And also, you don't learn a lot.
A lot about inventory management, supply chains, and all the rest.
Oh my gosh. So then...
Notice when she looks at the audience, it's every time she talks about doing something for the business. She also gets that circular thing going with her curved finger, and she starts using her other hand as well. Now, she's illustrating along with this as she talks about what she's done. And her illustrators are landing on the words as they should. Illustrators are the way our brain emphasizes specific words and phrases, like I did just then, specific words and phrases. So right now, those are landing on point where they should. She's either rehearsed this answer or it's coming from the heart. Personally, I think it's rehearsed.
And what you're looking for is, what are the consumer behaviors and habits? What are the products that they're gravitating to?
Now let's keep an eye on that curved finger when she does that circular thing, because at the same time when she's doing this other thing with her hand and moving around like she's building something, she's looking at the audience. And when she does that, so far it's given me the feeling that she's not being completely honest. And by completely honest, I mean, I think she's holding back some information. That's one of the things I want us to focus on during this, so you'll know when somebody's doing that to you. And why do I get that feeling she's not being completely honest when she does that? Because of what she's talking about. She's talking about being lucky because she sold out everything in less than an hour.
And I had this incredible fortune of having every SKU sell out within under an hour, which is amazing.
And then she says, that's great, but you don't learn a lot.
Within under an hour, which is amazing. And also, you don't learn a lot.
Well, guess what? You do learn a lot. That tells you a whole lot. That's what every CEO dreams of, is everything's selling out as soon as you let them go. As soon as you put them up for sale, man, everybody buys everything. Oof, that's the goal. That's what you're trying to do. And she sees that as something that's not good. She sees bad things about that. No, that's not right.
Which is amazing. And also, you don't learn a lot.
And at the end, the interviewer actually tells her what she should be looking for.
And also, you don't learn a lot.
A lot about inventory management, supply chains, and all the rest.
Oh my gosh. So I was learning from a lot of the women that I invest in and also that I'm friends with, But, I think my learns were to continue to give yourself the grace to have to pivot. And you do, because that first sellout, we said, great, let's 10x the inventory for the next seasonal drop. We'll get all the metrics that we need. And then it sold out within 4 hours, which again is amazing, but also not helpful. So I think it's just been a lot of learns and then extending and expanding the product categories to really see what those habits are and how we can show up in your home for you. So yes, jam was the origin story, but if I begin with that within your kitchen and that's the offering, how do we continue to grow into your lives with As Ever? So that's what we're working towards, especially for Q4.
There's that curved finger with a circular motion again, and she looks like she's making something. Notice she's looking at the audience.
So I was learning from a lot of the women that I invest in and also that I'm friends with.
She's trying to give the impression she understands how things work in this business. And she says what her learns were. Again, she absolutely loves putting an S on the end of a verb to turn it into a noun.
I think my learns were to continue to give yourself the grace to have to pivot.
She said one of her learns was pivoting. Now, when you pivot, here's what that means. Let's say you've got a product for sale. Let's say you're selling something and it's for a toothbrush. And so you're, hey, buy this for your toothbrush. But you find out because other people are using it for another reason. They may be using it to comb their hair with. So more people are into to comb their hair with it than they are to brushing their teeth with it. So what you do is you say, okay, we're not a toothbrush person anymore or company. We are a hairbrush company now. So you pivot and turn your company into a hairbrush company. That's pivoting. There are other reasons and other ways to pivot, but that's the biggie.
To have to pivot.
But here's the problem. If it's working, if you've sold everything in less than an hour, you don't pivot, you lean into it. Again, we're going over this for body language and behavior, but we're also going to listen to what she says and how she says it. Things change here. She gets a little bit excited. Now listen carefully to this.
That first sellout, we said, great, let's 10x the inventory for the next seasonal drop. We'll get all the metrics that we need. And then it sold out within 4 hours.
You have the impression she 10x'd her inventory and then sold that, right? Listen to what she says one more time.
That first sellout, we said, great, let's 10x the inventory for the next seasonal drop. We'll get all the metrics that we need. And then it sold out within 4 hours.
She says this. We said, great, let's 10x the inventory, get ready for the next seasonal drop, and then we sold out. 5 words are missing from this. So we 10x'd the inventory and we sold out. She doesn't say that. Hey, everybody. Just a quick intro. I want you to meet Jessica, our sponsorship specialist. Hi, Jessica.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, thanks for letting me do this because I want to use it as an example. So check this out. I just Googled your full name. Now, your address is in Los Angeles, correct?
Yes, that's creepy.
And your phone number is 214 or 8.
Yep.
Yeah, see, that's the creepy part. Your personal address, phone number, and email are all out there for anybody to find. All I did was just Google and search you. It's not a hack. It's data brokers, companies that collect and sell your information to marketers, scammers, and even identity thieves. And it's totally legal and completely creepy. They're supposed to remove your information if you ask them to, then they bury it in all that legalese and red tape, so you'll just give up. But you can do what we do. You can use Aura, today's sponsor. Aura scans the web for data brokers that are sharing your information and automatically sends opt-out requests on your behalf. But Aura doesn't stop there. It monitors the dark web 24/7 and it alerts you fast if any of your information shows up. Now, it'll warn you if somebody tries to open a bank account or credit line in your name. And if something goes wrong, you're covered with up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, and a US-based fraud team is ready to step in. Plus, Aura includes a world-class VPN so you can browse and shop safely from anywhere. It's privacy protection and peace of mind all in one. So go to aura.com/Scott Rouse and get 14 days for free. And that's enough time for Aura to start scrubbing your information from the internet. All right, thanks, Jessica.
Thank you, Scott.
If they had 10x their inventory and sold that out in less than 4 hours, let me tell you something. She would be on the front of every entrepreneur magazine on the planet. She'd be doing interviews and people would be trying to talk to her and ask her about how she did it. It's a big deal when you sell everything out on your first run. Didn't hear much about that. So what does that tell us? She may be being deceptive here. Also, it's Meghan Markle. She would have told everybody. Her publicity people would have been on top of that and gotten her in magazines. They would have gotten interviews for her. Didn't happen. Now, cons will do this when they're trying to sell you something. They're trying to get something over on you. I'm not saying she's a con. That's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you what cons will do. They'll use this same tactic to get over on you. That's why I want you to pay attention to that.
How are you navigating building the infrastructure behind the demand that you as a brand can make?
I think a lot of considerations go into which products become limited edition, which ones are going to be in steady state, what really is the brand identity beyond the jam, which, yes, is the hero product. But then as we've gone into different SKUs, flower sprinkles became quite a thing. And that was really complemented by the show. With the series with Love Meghan, I was able to show people what I love to do, and then we had the brand where I could tell them how they could have a lot of those things in their own home. I think it's going to be a continued process, as most founders will find in year one. And holiday, we have to be ready for holiday. So trying to be in steady state for most of the SKUs and really not being able to gauge how things are going to sell out, especially when you have people who have an appetite for the products in global territories, but we aren't selling internationally yet. And so they're finding workarounds where they'll have their friends stock up for them and then ship it to them separately. So the inventory is moving in a way that we hadn't anticipated, which is the biggest blessing.
As she begins that answer, her illustrator is off. And what does that tell us? That there's inner dialogue going on up there. Something's not right here. She's not confident with that answer.
A lot of considerations.
When you're confident with an answer and you're illustrating, those illustrators will fall on the words, because it's your brain emphasizing specific words and phrases. If they land off of the words, something's up. And why am I focusing so much on illustrators? Because in a public forum, when you're giving a speech, or you're giving a talk, or you're having an interview in public, those are important because they tell us a lot about what's going on. They let us know if she's recalling information, they let us know if she really means what she's saying, or she's not sure about the information she's given us. I'm under the impression these questions were prepared by Meghan's people and given to the interviewer. Why do I think that? Because there's no thinking going on before she starts answering. Now, you can answer questions without having to think about it, but not every question, and not like this. They happen too quickly. She's ready with these really structured answers, and we know that is odd because she doesn't understand the business side of it from what she's said so far.
Especially when you have people who have an appetite for the products in global territories, but we aren't selling internationally yet.
We're actually seeing Meghan pivot. And what's happened is this, in my opinion. Everything she's done so far has crashed. She doesn't have her acting career anymore. Her relationship with the royal family, that's gone. Her Spotify deal is gone. Her Netflix deal is gone. All those things are gone. So she's restructuring to show us she's pivoting from all that into being a businesswoman. That's what's going on. When she's rubbing her leg, when she's talking about the flower sprinkles, that's preening. She's sort of rubbing something off her leg like this isn't that big a deal that she's talking about. But she's talking about it like it is a big deal.
But then as we've gone into different SKUs, flower sprinkles became quite a thing.
But it's like, yeah, we sold a lot of those, It's nothing. It's a big deal if you sell as many as she sold, as she says she sold. She sells seashells by the seashore. And when she pulls her hair back like that, that's called grooming. And we do that. Sometimes it's an adapter. Adapter is the way we get rid of that built-up stress and tension. And it's another way of saying, I'm relaxed, everything's fine, everything's going great, everything's happening. That's another way to look at it. In this case, I think it's an adapter. I think she's lost a little bit of confidence there because she's not versed in in the depth of what she's talking about. She knows the little points to talk about, the main things, but she doesn't know what those things mean, a lot of them. Then she frames her face again with her finger. She's trying to show that she's got it figured out. She knows what's happening, and going forward, everything's going to be fine because she knows what she's doing and she understands it. Plus the fact she thinks it makes her look smart, like she's thinking. Somebody's told her to do this.
Netflix's role in this, I know they've been a big backer of yours. You've worked with Bella, their chief content officer, to develop quite a relationship with Netflix over the years. And that partnership just renewed with slightly different terms. I'm wondering if you could talk about what are the terms now and how has that helped you build as ever?
Yes, well, my husband and I were in an overall deal with Netflix.
There she goes again, calling Harry her husband.
Yes, well, my husband and I were in an overall deal with Netflix.
This solidifies in the listener's mind that she's a solo act now.
And then not dissimilar to Higher Ground and the Obama's deal, once that had come to its term, the extension of it, which was such a...
From a body language perspective, she's using those same illustrators again. And that's fine. But check it out. She's only using one arm to do most of them.
Incredible sign of the strength of our partnership was now being in a first look deal, which is also exciting because it gives us flexibility to go to our partners first, and then at the same time to be able to shop content that might not be the right fit for Netflix, but has a home somewhere else.
A lot of things have changed here. Take a look at how close her arms are to her torso. Watch how low that left arm illustrator is. Sometimes it doesn't move at all. And that right-handed arm, they're way up there. Something's off here. Everything's been fairly symmetric so far. Not here.
The extension of it, which was such an incredible sign of the strength of our partnership, was now being in a first look deal.
This Netflix thing is a big deal. And watch how it affects her from a body language perspective. She adjusts in her chair. We see a lot of torso movement. She's bracing herself. She's going to be talking about things she knows, I hate to say aren't true, but she's going to make you look at this from a different perspective so you'll feel good about it because she feels good about it. Again, notice how close her arms are to her torso. We do this when we try to protect ourselves. It's a subconscious thing. And we'll do it when we don't agree with something. We'll do it when we feel someone's being aggressive, or we hear something we don't like, or maybe something that's offensive. And that's why her illustrators are so close to her stomach, because she's trying to protect herself from a subconscious perspective. Also, her back is pushed up against the back of the chair. She's not cornered, but she's braced. So her body language is telling us she's not comfortable with this question, but she knows she has to answer it, and she has one prepared.
Content that might not be the right fit for Netflix, but has a home somewhere else.
Now, her voice tone and volume, they're lower now. No excitement in there.
And then at the same time to be able to shop content that might not be the right fit for Netflix, but has a home somewhere else.
And her cadence is sped up. She's trying to get through this as quickly as she can because it's uncomfortable.
And then at the same time to be able to shop content that might not be...
So why does she want to move on from this? Because she's uncomfortable talking about it. And why is she uncomfortable talking about it? It's because it's one of her failures. The narcissist, it's tough for them to talk about their failures. They don't want to talk about that. All they want to talk about and all they want to hear is how great they are and how wonderful they are and about the wonderful things they've done. So she's talking about this like everything's great. And this new deal is just fantastic and even better because they can deal with other companies, not just Netflix, because they have a first look deal. Well, guess what? You know who else has a first look deal? You do. I do. The woman that cuts my mother's hair does.
Incredible sign of the strength of our partnership was now being in a first look deal, which is also exciting because it gives us flexibility to go to our partners first.
A first look deal is not that big a deal at all.
Will we be seeing a season 3 of With Love, Meghan? Will it be on Netflix? Do we know?
Well, the holiday special is coming out in November, and it's a really good one. So I think looking at that format, again, with a year of learns, so we're able to say 8 episodes for 2 seasons. It's a lot of work. And having done Suits for 7 years, I remembered what goes into a production.
Right out of the gate on that one, chaff and redirect. Now, what does that mean? She's asked her a question, will there be a season 3? Instead of saying yes or no, she goes into the Christmas special. And that's called chaff, because what you try to do when you chaff and redirect is this. Chaff is when two planes are flying, one's chasing the other one, they're getting ready to shoot a missile at it. And this plane here, what it'll do, it'll throw out chaff. It's all this aluminum and things that are on fire and sparkling and things like that, because those missiles will go to the chaff, hopefully, instead of to the plane, because the plane's going to veer off, and hopefully the missile will follow that stuff. That's what's happening here. She's talking about something completely different than the answer. She's talking about a Christmas special, not the 3rd season.
Will we be seeing a season 3 of With Love, Meghan? Will it be on Netflix? Do we know?
Well, the holiday special is coming out.
And when she pretends to not know when the special is going to drop, she knows when it's going to drop.
Well, the holiday special is coming out in November?
If you had one coming out, you'd know. And you think she doesn't know when her special and her Christmas special is going to come out? She knows.
Well, the holiday special is coming out in November?
But she's trying to give you the impression she's got so much going on, she's not really that sure.
November, and it's a really good one. So I think looking at that format again with a year of learns.
Then she talks again about a year of learns. And then she moves on to suits and how much work it is and all this kind of stuff. Complete chaff and redirect, getting away from that answer.
So we're able to say 8 episodes for 2 seasons. It's a lot of work. And having done suits for 7 years, I remembered what goes into a production.
And why she goes into creating different kinds of content in this, there's no other reason than to get away from that answer. And what is that answer? It should be, no, there won't be a season 3. So when you ask someone a question, you make sure you get the answer. Listen to what they say. Listen to what happens. Let them talk. Don't stop them halfway through it. See if they do what she just did. See if they chaff and redirect. See if you get the answer you're asking for.
I also recognize how much people want content in different sizes. So part of what we're testing out now is it's amazing to be able to sit and watch a show for 30 minutes, but how can I give you a recipe in 2 minutes? And where can I share that with you? And how that continues to grow as ever. So exploring all the options of what it could look like.
That's great. So the holiday special in November, we'll keep an eye out for that.
And what else shows up here? She's got that curved finger, that circular thing happening. She gets her hands to going, but listen to her voice.
And how that continues to grow as ever. So exploring all the options of what it could look like.
Her cadence is sped up. She's wanting to get through with this. However, her voice is getting lower, and it actually turns into vocal fry. That's what that is when somebody talks like that. It's vocal fry because she's losing her confidence in her answer.
And how that continues to grow as ever. So exploring all the options of what it could look like.
That's also fading facts. The fact gets quieter and quieter as you go along, the answer.
And how that continues to grow as ever. So exploring all the options of what it could look like.
And the answer is exploring all the options of what it could look like. You got to be shitting me.
So exploring all the options of what it could look like.
And the interviewer's body language?
We'll keep an eye out for that. We'll keep an eye out for that. We'll keep an eye out for that.
That tells us she understands exactly what just happened. Oof.
That's great. So the holiday special in November, we'll keep an eye out for that.
I do lots of gift wrapping techniques. You guys know I used to teach gift wrapping at Paper Source and advanced gift wrapping. So, all of those things that you do as an auditioning actor, that's not the full circle I was expecting, but here we are.
I'm not going to go rough on her on this one because this is actually sad. I actually feel sorry for her. The other day I was on Kinsey Schofield's show and we talked about this. And if you think about what just happened, out of nowhere, apropos of nothing, she just starts talking about how she's really good at wrapping gifts. That's sad. It's the narcissist trying to protect the ego. For some reason in there, something popped off and made her feel unconfident. It's probably that last answer. She knows it was bullshit. And that's why she feels that way. So this is actually sad. I actually feel sorry for Meghan Markle. Oh, I do, though.
Can we expect to see some of your stuff maybe in like a Target? Or where could we physically buy it, do you think, in the next year?
Well, I think a retail component is so important, especially in growing a business, but also what I'm really working to convey and my intention with As Ever is getting back to things that are tactile, how we connect with each other. You want to put your hands on it. How does it feel? And you can only convey so much of that, obviously, in videos or in e-commerce. So I think my intention would be to have really bespoke, small retail collaborations, do some interesting ones as well in global territories. And then, of course, as you think about scaling, it's a brand that's accessible, but it still has a quality that feels as though it's masstige. And so when we think about larger retailers, I think in the next couple of years, that would make sense.
Right out of the gate, she's preening and grooming. Now that lets us know she's trying to make this look like it's no big deal. Not a big thing going on here. As well, she's using that as an adapter because we're getting into a subject here where it's a really big deal in business. Getting into Target, getting into big box stores, anywhere you can put a product. And she's not familiar with all that. She doesn't know how it works. So she's really nervous here. And how do we know? Because she slaps her chest. And notice when she hits her chest, that doesn't land on the word she's trying to emphasize.
Really working to convey, and my intention with as ever.
It's late.
Really working to convey, and my intention with as ever.
So what does that tell us? She's nervous. Hitting herself that hard. Animals will do that. They'll hit themselves, or gorillas will do that. They'll hit themselves really hard. People will do that when they get really mad. They'll hit themselves real hard and, come on, let's do that. This is nerves. This is nervousness. Then she touches her nose. A lot of people think when you touch your nose, it means you're being deceptive or you're lying. Nope. I got a huge nose, and I hit that thing by accident all the time. But it doesn't mean I'm lying about something or being deceptive. It just means I hit my nose. She does that as an adapter. She's trying to get rid of that built-up stress and tension. So that's fine for a situation like this.
In videos or in e-commerce.
And that's probably why people think it has something to do with being deceptive, because when they know somebody's lying to them and they'll touch their nose, rub their nose or their face or something, they'll say, oh, that's a body language tell being a liar. No, it's not. It's not. If somebody tells you it is, don't listen to that person anymore, because they're not vetting their information. That's not true at all. It's just getting rid of stress.
In videos or in e-commerce.
Now let's go back to what she's saying. She's asked if she wants her stuff in Target. Target is the holy land. If you've got a product, that's where you want to put it. There or Walmart, if you can get in either one of those, that's where you want to go every time. And there's really no excuse not to. Now, she talks about when to put her stuff in these little niche stores. Nope. So maybe they've gone to Target already and they said, well, we don't want that stuff here. Or we don't have a spot for that. It wouldn't fit in this store. I'm sorry, it's too high end for us, or it's too this or too that. And that may be why they're not going to be in there. And she's trying to make us think that she just wants them in these little stores. Oof.
My intention would be to have really bespoke, small retail collaborations.
Now keep in mind, if you've 10x'd your product and you sold it out in less than 4 hours, and you don't want to go to Target with all the metrics you have, with all the information you gathered this time, you still don't want to go to the Holy Land to sell your product? Nah, something's not right here. Something's not right here. That's where you'd go, because you're trying to make as much money as you possibly can by selling as many products as you possibly can for your company. That's why you're the CEO. That's what you do. You raise money. You make sure that thing works. And that's not what we're hearing here. She doesn't want to go to these little bitty stores. She has to.
It's a brand that's accessible, but it still has a quality that feels as though it's mastige.
And she uses the word mastige. Now, that word came around in the early 2000s. And what it means, it's a combination of two words, mass and prestige. So in other words, it's a product for everybody that has that luxury thing to it. That's what that is.
But it still has a quality that feels as though it's mastige. And so when we think about larger retailers, I think in the next couple of years, that would make sense.
All right, listen to her voice as she gets closer to the end of the answer.
And so when we think about larger retailers, I think in the next couple of years, that would make sense.
It turns into vocal fry. Then it gets quieter and quieter as she goes along.
And so when we think about larger retailers, I think in the next couple of years, that would make sense.
What do we call that? Fading facts.
And so when we think about larger retailers, I think in the next couple of years, that would make sense.
And why do people do that? Because they're not confident with the answer, or maybe they're being deceptive.
You took a hiatus from Instagram. You came back.
January. Woo, it's changed.
You're back. You're in action. But you're not on TikTok. I'm
Not
curious,
yet.
will you be going on TikTok?
I don't know. I mean, I think, look, I have had a very complicated relationship with social media, as you can probably imagine. And I also recognize the role that it plays in business. Part of it is, equally the work that you were talking about earlier. My husband and I spend a lot of time working on online harms, specifically surrounding protecting our children, not ours personally, but all of our children, for what they're susceptible to in the online space. So I'm sensitive to that.
Okay, what do we see in here there? When she says, I don't know, fading facts. That's one of those situations where you're trying to act like you're really not sure, you don't really know. I think she knows she doesn't want to go because she knows she's going to get eaten live on TikTok if she goes there. And she's grooming as an adapter, because the whole thing with social media for her, that's bad news. You know how it is. I know what you're doing out there. You know what I'm doing again. So Yeah, social media is kind of hard on her, so that's why she's uncomfortable with it. And it's showing up as she talks about it in her body language. And the further into it she goes, she starts squeezing her hands. That's an adapter. That's a lot of stress for her right there. Also, we're seeing that slow chin jut. Now, when we see a chin jut, that usually means that person is angry. It indicates or it suggests that. So we're seeing anger when she's talking about how she's treated on Instagram. And again, I get it.
Also recognize the role that it plays in business. Part of it is, equally the work that you were talking about earlier. My husband and I spend a lot of time working on online harms.
Here come those illustrators we're familiar with. Now, that circular curved finger thing is turned into this, and she does have a little bit of that going on, illustrating and moving her hand around on her left, but not like she had before. So she touches her nose again before she starts talking about her husband. She doesn't say Harry. Why? Remember, she's restructuring things, so you'll see her from a different perspective. She's staying on point for the new Meghan rebrand.
I'm curious what you think about other formats that are not digital. Have you considered a cookbook? Could we expect that in the future? Maybe a magazine? What do you think?
I love paper. And I really love, again, the sentimentality of what happens. We all have those.
I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. But I hope you learned a lot here. I hope you learned how someone may be manipulating you or may try to manipulate you, or someone who may be trying to lie to you. They're not a very good liar, or maybe they're a pro liar and they try to get it by you by giving you a bunch of information that has nothing to do with the answer you're looking for. I want you to pay attention to that. Okay? So if you have any questions about body language, just email me. bodylanguagequestions@gmail.com, and I'll get right on it.
I love that your eyes are sparkling right now. Meghan, how are you today? Which, by the way, I just have to say, yes.
Enjoy them.
I forgot to have fun. You're right. You're right.
Fun.
Do you think our lives are divinely ordered? Getting to know you for who you truly are. So why did you say yes to doing this show?
Because it's you.
It's like, I want people to see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to get emotional if I talk about it. It's a gift to celebrate my friend who are listening or watching, connect with the truth, and they'll know it's true in their soul when they hear and listen to this, and that's what I hear and listen to this, and that's what I hear and listen to this, and that's what I...
But you're the same.
You're the same.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Be the friend that you want in your life, and you do that. I was having the worst day, and I was so sad.
Yeah.
I'm going to make Meghan a charcuterie tray. That is so beautiful.
No.
Meghan Markle and Prince Harry put out another video. This time it was from when she was in the hospital having a baby. Of course, she's dancing around and it looks kind of weird, and we all feel weird about that. But there are other things in there that are odd as well. Something's not right in here. And your brain feels that as well. That's why you can't quit watching it. But there are things in there that are missing. I'm going to tell you what those things are, and you'll have a better understanding of why you feel the way you do when you watch this, because something isn't right here. We're not seeing stress. We're not seeing anything that shows us she's suffering from anxiety during this. We don't see anything that tells us she's worried about the pain that's right around the corner when she starts having a baby. Look at these expressions. Does that look like somebody who's worried and getting ready to go through the worst pain in their whole life? No. Does this look like a husband who is worried about his wife? Somebody who wants to connect with her to help her calm down, help get that anxiety lowered? No. There are a couple of more things in here that really bother me. And I'm not saying she didn't have that baby. I'm not saying she wasn't pregnant, but I'm saying it sure looks suspicious to me from what she's doing in this video that tell me something's not right here. Not just her facial expressions that aren't correct here, that should be there that aren't. Not just because her arms are far away from her body, and when you're in this kind of situation, your arms are really close to your body because you're worried. You're trying to self-soothe, so you keep your arms close to your torso. I'm not talking about the eye contact that should be there between those two. I'm not talking about the lack of personal items that should be laying around that have been in every hospital room or delivery room when someone's getting ready to have a baby. They've got their stuff everywhere because they don't know how long they're going to be there. He doesn't look concerned, not even a little bit. He's not trying to connect with her. He's not worried about her. She's not worried about her. When you're in a situation like this and you're afraid and you're really stressed and there's a lot of anxiety, the last thing you want to hear is something loud, like loud music. Usually when you go into a situation like this, it's very calm music when it's playing. It could be classical music or, your favorite artist who is really mellow. So none of that here. This is really loud in there. That's coming from the phone, but comparatively, it would be loud. And you usually don't want to hear loud stuff or dance music when you get ready to have a baby. The stress is too high. My experience with having a baby is 0. Never had one. I've looked like I was going to have one, like before I lost a bunch of weight. But there's nothing here that says she's having a baby except having that big stomach and then being in a delivery room. But let's look at the stomach. This doesn't look right to me. Like I said before, I'm not saying she's not pregnant. I'm not saying this is fake. I'm just saying it looks odd to me. When she starts bending that baby upward, her stomach, when she starts doing that, that doesn't look like it's attached to her body. Because when you bend over like that, your stomach should not come up that high. It doesn't do it. You've had a baby, you'll know what I'm talking about. That should not be happening. Another thing that bothers me in here, look at her right hand as we go through this. What does that thing do? It's hardly touching her stomach where the baby is. It's that left hand that's doing all the work over there, lifting that thing up. You do see these things on her. She's got monitors on her stomach. That's totally normal because you want to know what's going on in there, right? So granted, if that is a real baby in there, or if it is, she really is pregnant, that's okay. It's supposed to look that way. It looks odd. But why would she not have both hands on that? Because watch, her right hand barely slides back and forth, up and down on the side of her stomach. It's barely touching it. That to me is odd. I know you can look at that and go, well, it's one of those things. Nope, that's not one of those things. That's a lot of weight that you would be pulling up, a lot of weight. And especially with your skin and it's attached to your body. And it's uncomfortable when you do that. So this doesn't look right, not only from a perspective of body language, but psychologically, she shouldn't be doing that. But what's going on with that hand? Why is she just barely rubbing that hand in there? Now let's talk about Prince Harry. He doesn't look worried at all. He's going back and forth doing that nerd dance he's doing, not trying to connect with her. He's not concerned about her. There's no worry there. There's no stress there. He's not going, oh my goodness, this is not good. I'm worried. I'm really stressed. I should be trying to calm her down. If they did Lamaze or anything, shouldn't that be going on? Shouldn't she be having contractions? Unless, of course, they plan to have the baby on this day, which a lot of people do now. You make an appointment, say, I'm going to have it on the 26th. And on the 26th, you show up and they induce labor. So that could be happening. But still, it's going to hurt. And neither one of them look like they're thinking about that pain that's right around the corner. When she does that squat, that's got to be really, really uncomfortable because that's going to be tough to do when you're in that situation. Like I said before, I've never been pregnant, but I know this isn't right. You know this isn't right. And your brain is saying, something's not right here. So let's go over the things that we've seen that tell us something's not right here. Number one, the facial expressions we should be seeing on her and him. They're missing. Stress, anxiety, worry. We should be seeing not a frown, but we should be seeing those eyebrows coming in here and up here just a little bit. It's almost like the grief muscle because you're worried about pain and you're thinking about pain, but it's not the grief muscle. But you do see the glabella, which is this group of muscles here, come together. We're not seeing that, not even a little bit of that. That shows us she's worried. She's smiling. And what we're seeing with that smile is called, or what I've coined, extra face. My brother writes TV shows and movies. One time I was at a TV show and he was directing it, and he said, cut. And he said, hey, I was talking to these people in the background because it was a restaurant scene. And he said, listen, quit doing all these big hand gestures and movements. These facial expressions are really too big. Dial it down a notch because it doesn't look natural. Because people were back there were going, because that's the way they were trying. They weren't really talking. They were just trying to communicate without talking. So it looks weird. And you get this really weird look on your face. Even though he would tell them to settle down, dial it down some, they would still sit there like this. And you'll see it in movies and TV shows now when somebody's on TV or online, on Netflix, anything. Not all the time because they're pretty much getting a handle on that now. But man, Keep an eye on that because people are using what's called extra face. You'll see what I'm talking about. Now look at him dancing around. Not only is that just like the nerdiest thing you've ever seen in your whole life, it's just not right because he would be worried about her, or he should be worried about her. He should be concerned. We can't see a very good shot of his face, but boy, we sure can't see some good shots of her face. We don't see any concern in there. We don't see any grief in there. We don't see any worry in there. We don't see any anxiety in there. I'm repeating these same things because it's all over this video. And your brain sees that and says, what's not right about this? Because you've got a situation over here that calls for stress and anxiety. And you've got people in that situation that show zero stress and zero anxiety. And your brain goes, that's not right. You don't compute that correctly and go, oh, I know what's happening here. Because you're used to seeing people be in that situation where they are feeling stress and anxiety and they have a look on their face. In my job, I look for things like that. That's why it's so easy for me to go, yeah, here's what you're missing. But it's really simple, but that's what's missing. That's what makes you feel that way. Call it gut feeling or woman's intuition, whatever. It's your brain seeing it, not being able to tell you what it is. It just knows something's wrong. That's what gives you that feeling. Again, when she's pulling that baby up pulling it upward, and that top part of the baby there, that doesn't look connected to me. In real life, that whole thing is connected there because it's part of her stomach and part of the front part of her body. And it doesn't fold up like that quickly and that easily. And it's not light. It's not light. It weighs a lot. That's not right. And then again, she's just pushing up with the one hand and doing all that work with one hand while her right hand just rubs the bottom of that, just barely touching it. That's not right. I'm not saying it's fake. I'm just saying, boy, that sure looks fake to me. And it does to me. May not be fake, probably not. But it looks fake to me. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I really want to know. This is bugging me to death. I can't believe they did this. That somebody would be able to do this and then go out in the wild and go, oh, I had a baby. You can look what we did online. You can see it on Instagram. I can't believe it. Dr. G and I did a thing with Kinsey Schofield on her channel. And we broke this down, not just from body language, but from a psychological perspective as to what he pretty much handled. And it might be an hour long, but we talked about a lot of things in detail. We got into a lot more detail here than we do over there from a body language perspective. But I think you'll like that. Kinsey Schofield, she gets deep into that too. She's all up into the prince and the princess, or whatever they are now. I don't know. I don't think they're prince and princess anymore. I don't follow this stuff, so I don't know. But when people send me this video, stuff like this, man, I can't help but want to tell you about it or tell you what I'm seeing from my body language perspective. All right. If you have any questions about body language, you just let me know. Send them to bodylanguagequestions@gmail.com, and I'll get right on it. Meghan Markle did an interview with Jamie Kern-Lima. I'm going to walk you through that interview almost sentence by sentence to give you a better idea of what's going on from a body language and behavior perspective. That way you'll know exactly how she feels about the questions she's being asked.
Meghan, how are you? And are you okay?
That's so kind. I am. I'm better than okay. How are you?
This is pretty interesting because that smile's a little bit over the top. And that single shoulder shrug she has, that usually indicates that person isn't very confident with their answer or their statement. We also see her scratch behind her ear right there. That's an adapter. That's how we get rid of that built up stress and tension. Now, keep in mind, the interview started not a few seconds ago. So she may be a little bit stressed because of that. And she's with her friend. The lights are on. It's her first podcast interview or whatever. So that could be it. But I don't think she's very confident with that answer when she's saying, I'm better than okay.
Today, I just get to talk about you, which I'm excited about. But how are you doing? There's so much going on.
I'm good. There's
Okay, she says, I'm good. And we hear that big release of a deep breath, trying to relax. Again, it could be because it's the beginning of the interview, but maybe she's not feeling as good as she says she is. She may be have some psychological things going on. And by psychological, I mean she may be having a fuss with Harry. She may be having some problems with the kids that morning. A lot of things could be going on that could cause that kind of behavior.
it's a lot of pinch me moments right now. And at the same time, I think because I'm so busy with so many different things, and for each of those projects, you mentioned the show or the podcast or the brand, the business,
Now, with this question, we see some face touching. And again, that's an adapter. That's why we get rid of that built up stress and tension. Sometimes you'll see this on interviews when somebody's being interviewed on the news or something. And as they talk, they'll do this thing right there. And that's just when you do that, if you push on your face right there and release it, that muscle kind of contracts a little bit and releases. And it's just a little bit of comfort, but that's what we do it for. It's just psychological. So anything that can make us feel a little bit more comfortable, we usually do. So we see this in interrogations as well, because the person will talk and go, I don't know, man. You'll see that kind of thing, and it helps them relax a little bit. So still, I'm not so sure she feels good about the place she's in right now.
Your close friends and family, so many of them call you M and Harry H.
Yes.
How did that start? And tell me about that.
Probably at the beginning of us dating when everything was in code.
Code, yeah.
Right. People didn't know we were dating for, talk about memory lane, so long ago. I mean, it'll be our 7-year wedding anniversary soon. I couldn't tell anyone who I was dating, and he was keeping. So I think we were just on a letter basis.
Yeah.
This is fake. She knows exactly when that happened. The eye search she's got going on there, that's forced and faked, as is the facial expression. So that little squinched up face she was making, that's not a face of recall. That's not a real one. Maybe she's putting on a show for her friend and for the cameras and stuff, who knows. But usually it's your eyes squint up and your head will tilt a little bit. You'll start thinking and your eyes will go to one spot, maybe up and to the right, maybe over to the up and to the left, or down to the right, down to the left, wherever it's going to go, they're going to go. And you'll sort of circle in there or go back and forth in that little area there. You won't scan the whole sky as you're trying to look for that answer. There may be instances where you do, but I've seen a lot of video of her because we've done a lot of body language breakdowns of her on the behavior panel, a bunch of interviews, and I've never seen her do that before. So I think she knows exactly when that started. Also, we see eye blocking when she says we're having our 7th wedding anniversary soon.
I mean, it'll be our 7-year wedding anniversary soon.
So an eye blocking suggests that's information you don't want to hear or you don't want to give. There's an issue in here somewhere.
Your trust is such a sacred thing. Anybody's trust is a sacred thing. So why did you say yes to doing this show?
Because it's you. And to me, that means, of course, I trust you.
Yeah.
But because...
This is interesting because when she says, of course I trust you, it sounds like she's asking a question. She's got that uptalk going on.
Of course I trust you.
When you're asking like that, that's always a little bit questionable if you don't talk like that all the time. Now, the Jamie Kern-Lima, she does uptalk all the time. Almost everything she says is uptalk, but not Meghan. She could be mirroring her, matching her. You do mirroring, matching and mirroring. When you like someone, you hang out with them, you start talking like them, you start acting like them, you may sit like them, and you may literally mirror their movements during your conversations. But we're also seeing that open-handed thing with a shoulder shrug. That's a little questionable as well. I'm sure she trusts her, but only to a point, because she comes on like she's known her forever. But as the interview goes on, she talks about how she doesn't know her that well, and they haven't known each other that long.
And I liked the idea of being able to be so authentically myself with someone who knows me in such a deep and profound way. And I think that's where you can meet people on a really, really pure, connected level. When you were saying, do you want to just do cozies and no makeup? I like the idea of okay, great. Let's let them see us.
Yeah.
See our friendship, see us, see what it's really like.
I'm not under the impression she's being authentic here. Nobody talks like that and nobody acts like that. Again, it may be for show, which apparently, hopefully it is, because that's weird behavior that we're seeing from both of these people if we're supposed to be thinking under the impression that they're being authentic. That's really odd. So I would think that Meghan is doing this for a reason, this interview, and that we're being prepped for something is what it feels like to me up to this point. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. But I think she's friends with this Jamie Kern-Lima, if that's what you say her name, for a reason. I think something's up.
I think I've seen a lot of things in my life. I have never seen anything like what you go through on a daily basis.
I know.
I have never seen anything like it.
I know.
I think what's so beautiful is when people connect, who are listening or watching, connect with the truth, and they'll know it's true in their soul when they hear and listen to this. And that's what I think is so special. And so,
Okay, there's reason number one. They're laying down the groundwork for us to see the real Meghan, the Meghan we don't know. Okay, this is rebranding. I know what this looks like. That's what's happened. They're rebranding Meghan. So here it comes. They're going to sell something.
you just launched as ever, sold
Yes.
out, everything sold out in under an hour.
Everything. Yeah.
And
45 minutes.
well, and so many entrepreneurs, they don't realize how hard it is until they do it. And the world now can see these wins, which is really exciting. But you've been working so hard. Like you've been working so hard for
Yes.
so long.
Yeah.
And all of the sudden it's all coming, like everything is blossoming right now.
There it is. They're selling something. And they're selling her company as ever. Let's take a look at their body language. What's happening there? Their behavior. Everything's kind of calmed down a little bit. Before their movements were very smooth. They were talking and laughing. The heads were tilted a little bit and all that. Things have tightened up a little bit because they're focusing on this specific part of the conversation. The other part, they said, we'll talk about a couple of these things, and they'll be loose. And they were just kind of, relaxing, talking. Here, things are getting specific. So that's why you see them stiffen up a little bit. That's what's going on. She's rebranding. Jamie Kern-Lima is helping rebrand Meghan to sell this stuff for her company. So I really think that's what we're seeing here.
But to the world, it's just, what has she been doing? Does she work? As opposed to, oh my gosh, I work so hard and I appreciate what hard work looks like. I like working hard. And I'm still working hard, right? The moment that everything sells out, it doesn't mean that we're done.
Yeah.
It means we're working on replenishment and what are the next SKUs and what's the next tranche of products and what's the timing on that and writing the newsletters and writing the social media captions and making sure that all that feels in line and what's the cadence of it and what's the photography that we want to do and what do I want to wear for those shoots, while also editing all the time-coded notes for season 2 of With Love Meghan, and then being in edits for the podcast and being a mom and a wife and a friend.
Yeah.
Those are all jobs. I mean, I love being that busy, but I do think it's really interesting when people have no sense of what goes into the thing.
Yeah.
All right, this question is specifically set up to give us the impression Meghan is doing a lot of work. But when she talks about work and how she appreciates it and likes what it looks like, we see a lot of eye flutter happening. We've talked about this before. When you see eye flutter, that's a form of eye blocking. And that lets us know that there's an issue there. So when she's talking about all the work and she has eye flutter, it could be something she doesn't want to say, something that she doesn't want to hear, or something that she's not comfortable doing. So it could be a couple other things, but I think that's pretty much a ballpark of what we're dealing with there. And I'm not under the impression she has got the personality type to pull off the work that needs to be done for a startup to make it successful. So I'm sure she has other people working with her, but this is supposed to give us the impression she's the one doing all the work. So when you're buying this product, you're buying her work. So she's involved with it. That's what it sounds like to me.
Your husband just shared publicly for the first time. He said, I'm so happy for my wife and fully support absolutely everything she's done and continues to do.
When did he say that?
This week. It's everywhere in the press. Yeah.
That facial expression should be one of surprise, and it isn't. Why should it be surprise? Because she's just getting information she wasn't aware of. That's not what happened. We saw excitement there, not surprise. Up to this point, I thought maybe what had happened in this situation from a filming perspective was they got some people to, their regular people to hook everything up and get the cameras going. They would leave the room so they could have this intimate conversation. That's not what's going on, because Meghan, when you see her look away and do that buck teeth thing and look to her right, she's looking at two different people. So that kind of ruined that. If you thought they were by themselves, they're not. So this should have been an expression of surprise, and it wasn't.
I feel that, right? I feel that every day in how supportive he's been and is. But I didn't know he said that. So that's really nice.
This seems a little bit dismissive, and here's why. We see the eyebrows go up. That's normal. That's good. Then we see that single shoulder shrug again, which indicates she doesn't feel confident about that answer. Then she takes that big, deep breath and exhales as she's talking. Oof. So then at the end of her sentences, they get a little bit quieter. She gets into that gravelly voice thing there as it starts breaking up.
No, he said that. So that's really nice.
When someone has or uses fading facts and they don't realize they're doing it, you wouldn't either, is they get quieter at the end of their sentences as they're talking because they're not confident with what they're saying, or they may be being deceptive. I don't think she's being deceptive, but I think she's not confident with this answer. So maybe there's an issue here.
Do you think you'll be married forever?
Yes.
I have a letter.
He's also a fox. If you haven't noticed, my husband's very, very handsome. But his heart is even more beautiful.
Whoops, something's up here. See that little shoulder shrug when she said yes?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Did you hear how high her voice was when she said yes?
Yes.
When we're stressed, our larynx closes up a little bit and our voice tone gets a little bit higher. That's why the pitch of the yes is so high.
Yes.
She could be from excitement. That's what it could be, completely from that, and I could be completely off on that. Also, at the end, it makes me question that answer. She adds a qualifier.
He's also a fox.
Qualifiers are the things we add to answers when we want to make sure that person we're talking to believes us. So she added the part about him being a fox and how handsome he is
He's also a fox. If you haven't noticed, my husband's very, very handsome.
to qualify that answer. So that's a little bit iffy there for me. There may be something happening with these two that we're not aware of. Everybody thinks something's happening, but I don't know. It's starting to look like it.
Do you think you'll be married forever?
Yes.
So there you have it. Some of the best parts from that interview. I could have done more, but I just couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. I'm going to show you why I couldn't take it. I put together a little reel here at the end, because if you sit through this, here are some of the things you've got to listen to and watch.
I love that your eyes are sparkling right now. You know, Megan, how are you today? Which, by the way, I just have to say, yes.
Enjoy them.
I forgot to have fun. You're
Yeah,
right. You're
Just have
right.
fun.
Do you think our lives are divinely ordered? Getting to know you for who you truly are. So why did you say yes to doing this show?
Because it's you.
Is like, I want people to see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to get emotional if I talk about it. It's a gift to celebrate my friend who are listening or watching, connect with the truth, and they'll know it's true in their soul when they hear and listen to this, and that's what I hear and listen to this, and that's what I hear and listen to this, and that's what
But you're the same.
you're the same.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Be the friend that you want in your life, and you do that. I was having the worst day, and I was so sad.
Yeah.
I'm going to make Megan a charcuterie tray. That is so beautiful.
There's a new interview with Meghan Markle, and Emily Chang did it. Now you can find this on the Bloomberg Originals channel. Now, Emily usually focuses on culture, tech, entertainment, and business. So this is right in her wheelhouse. It's entertainment because it's Meghan, and it's business because they're talking about Meghan's business. They also talk about some life things when they go out and have lunch. But from a body language and behavior perspective, there are a couple of things in here that kind of bother me. Looks a little bit iffy as far as deception goes. So let's take a look and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
So, I mean, obviously this is a quieter town. Can you actually get a drink in peace?
Yes.
Where have you heard that high-pitched yes before?
Do you think you'll be married forever?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
And to me, that sounded deceptive.
Yeah, we go out a lot. I love it. I go out with my girlfriends for dinner and lunches, and obviously my husband and I have a lot of date nights because it's important. But yeah, we go out a lot in our community, in Montecito and in Santa Barbara, and people are just really friendly.
When someone's talking and their pitch, volume, and voice tone are all pretty much flat, and you ask them a question and the answer is yes, and that yes is really high and really loud,
Yes. 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 Yes.
from a body language perspective, that lets us know something might be up there because that indicates sudden stress.
Yeah, we go out a lot. I love it. I go out with my girlfriends for dinner and lunches, and obviously my husband and I have a lot of date nights because it's important.
Because it's important. Watch how fast that smile goes away.
It's because it's important. It's because it's important. It's because it's important.
That lets us know that's not a real smile. Because when you really smile, it comes on slow and it goes away slow. It doesn't turn off like that.
Because it's important.
Let's focus on our illustrators just for a second. Illustrators are the way your brain emphasizes specific words and phrases, like I did just then, specific words and phrases. She just starts illustrating out of nowhere. And she starts goofing around with her neck and that chain. Why is that? That's called adapting. She's trying to get rid of some of that built-up stress and tension. These are all red flags for deception.
Are there any tricks to being incognito?
No, we're not trying to be incognito.
Okay.
Different chapter.
No, and this is a different chapter. That's important.
No, we're not trying to be incognito.
Okay.
Different chapter.
Now listen to this.
If you had total anonymity for a month, what would you do?
I would go grocery shopping every day. I miss grocery shopping so much.
She asks her if she had total anonymity for 30 days, what would she do? She said she'd go to the grocery store every day. So is she not being honest about not worrying about being recognized? Apparently, that's not true. I think she's being deceptive here as well.
If you had total anonymity for a month, what would you do?
I would go grocery shopping every day. I miss grocery shopping so much.
Why would she find it such a relief to be able to go to the grocery store because she can't go now when nobody's recognizing her or she doesn't care? Right out of the gate, we're seeing a lot of things that tell us we're dealing with deception.
I miss grocery shopping so much.
Now, when she's doing her hands like this, those are called regulators. Illustrators are how you say, here's what I'm going to do. And regulators are the way you control the conversation or a situation. You say, hang on just a minute, listen to me, hang on. Or you come over here, you guys go over this way, come on, or slow it down a little bit. Those are regulators.
Think of the direction our country is going in.
I think right now it's a really interesting time for the entire world. I just hope that people are able to maintain the values that they feel are important to them and to feel safe and to remember our humanity with each other in all of it. Like however polarized the world can be or feel, if you go back to the fact that we're human beings and try to find the way that we can connect versus feel divided, I think that's the only way through whatever can feel trying.
That answer is full of what are called platitudes.
I just hope that people are able to maintain the values that they feel are important to them and to feel safe and to remember our humanity with each other.
Alexa, what are platitudes?
Platitudes is a form of the noun platitude, which is usually defined as a flat, dull, or trite remark, especially one uttered as if it were fresh or profound.
In all of it, like however polarized the world can be or feel, if you go back to the fact that we're human beings and try to find the way that we can connect versus feel divided, I think that's the only way through whatever can feel trying.
I want you to pay attention to how she pulls her hair behind her ear and when she does that. What else is happening with that? We see a lot of illustrators. This is going to be important in a minute.
Things you're dying to say or do right now that you feel like you can't.
No, I just make a choice of what matters to me and what's important to me.
The reason you feel weird when you hear that answer is because it doesn't mean anything, and it's not the answer to the question she asked. Again, those are platitudes.
No, I just make a choice of what matters to me and what's important to me.
A flat, dull, or trite remark, especially one uttered as if it were fresh or profound.
What's your vibe on launch day? Are you zen or are you like gritting your teeth?
Oh, no. Very zen. Because it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. So I think I sort of approach that.
What's your vibe on launch day? Are you zen or are you gritting your teeth? Now let's take a look at that expression she makes just as that question is being asked.
What's your vibe on launch day? Are you zen or are you like gritting your teeth?
Doesn't look too zen, does it?
Oh, no. Very zen. Because it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. So I think I sort of approach that.
And after the second it's done, look what happens with her chin.
Because it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.
That's stress. That's an adapter. That doesn't look zen either. That's literally what you do when you grit your teeth.
It's done.
Just had another launch.
Yes.
The rosé sold out also in less than an hour.
44 minutes. I was shocked.
How do you keep up with demand?
When you sell out that quickly, it's a double-edged sword because it's an incredible thing to happen for any small business and any startup. And at the same time, you don't get the same metrics and learnings about which SKUs and products are the most coveted because it's all gone immediately.
The question was, how do you keep up with demand? This is not the answer to that question. She's telling a little story.
When you sell out that quickly, it's a double-edged sword because it's an incredible thing to happen for any small business and any startup. And at the same time, you don't get the same metrics and learnings about which SKUs and products are the most coveted because it's all gone immediately.
A whole lot of snapping of the fingers and things being gone immediately and that kind of thing.
The most coveted because it's all gone immediately.
From 2011 to 2017, I was the entrepreneur in residence at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. And I helped startups and new CEOs get funding for their companies. I taught them how to pitch, how to get their body language happening so they could be trusted when they're pitching and asking for money. So before I helped them, I'd have to look at their business and make sure everything they said was going to happen was going to happen. I had to make sure everything they were saying was true. And when I heard stuff like this, I wasn't into it. I said, nope, can't help you. Because I knew they didn't know what they were talking about.
And at the same time, you don't get the same metrics and learnings about which SKUs and products are.
She knows the categories and the topics to talk about when it comes to this question, but she's not answering it. She's not getting into the details that this woman wants to know. And believe me, Emily is asking the right questions, and she knows what the answers should be.
And at the same time, you don't get the same metrics and learnings about which SKUs and products are.
She knows that already. That's why she asked that question. But she doesn't get the answer to that question. This is a form of being deceptive. It's called.
And we prepped for the second seasonal drop and 10x'd our inventory.
When she says they 10x'd their inventory, that means they got 10 times as much.
And thought for sure that would at least last for a couple weeks. That sold out in a couple hours. And suddenly the conversation goes from at the start of this year talking about a few thousand jars and lids to we need to do a purchase order of 1 million. And that's a huge jump in just a few months of starting a business.
And the plan is to go global.
Yes, absolutely.
She still hasn't answered that question. I don't think she can. I don't think she knows how. I don't think she knows what she's talking about.
How long does it take to develop each product? What's that process like?
This is a valid and important question because you want to know how they make the product. How long does it take? What goes into doing this? How much does it cost to do this? What are we dealing with here when it comes to making your product? That's what she's asking her.
Oh, goodness. I'm exasperated in some ways by that only because it is such a tedious proposition to scale your own home recipe to something at mass and maintain the same, not just quality, but the same flavor that you're able to do at home. And I think any home cook would say that. If you say, great, can you make...
Here come those illustrators. When she's getting ready to... Part of her protocol is to start illustrating a lot.
Your cobbler that I love. I said, great, of course I can make my cobbler. Great, can you make 1 million cobblers? Can you teach someone how to make 1 million cobblers that taste just like the one that you have at home?
That's not the way it happens. Nobody asks that because there's a process for that to happen, and it's not that.
I also have to be conscious of, people who really understand canning can say the bricks method when you're going at scale. I mean, now I'm going to get a little nerdy and jammy with you.
She gets lost there. She's not going nerdy on her. She gets lost. She doesn't know where to go from there. She's heard this talked about, and I'm sure someone said it to her because in the meetings, if she's supposed to be the CEO, those things are talked about. And she's heard somebody talking about that. Again, they've probably told her, and she's trying to repeat it and can't remember what to say. How do we know that? Look at those illustrators. They're huge. Now, this doesn't happen with everybody who's not being honest. As a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite. When someone is using illustrators and they're speaking and talking, and then all of a sudden those illustrators stop, they go away. Albert Bray did studies that show that person is probably being deceptive. But not here. It's just the opposite. When Meghan starts to... That's when she starts illustrating a lot. And then she starts goofing with her hair.
I mean, now I'm going to get a little nerdy and jammy with you.
I can tell the details.
But there's a lot of detail in it. There's lots of tiny nuances that I don't think people would think about and then make sure that it can come out the way that feels reflective of what I make at home.
Now, keep in mind, she didn't answer the question that Emily asked her. Now, is this deceptive? In a way it is. And I have to say in a way because when you look at this, she is answering the question and she's saying what she knows the answer to be, but it's not the right answer. She knows it's not the right answer. But again, Emily isn't going to invest in her. She's just asking her questions. But she should be able to answer them and she should be able to say and feel good about saying, I don't know, hang on a minute, let's find out. something like that.
What about pricing? Like, how did you determine your pricing strategy? Like, what are the margins?
Yes.
Okay, this is one of the biggies. How do you determine how much you're going to sell this thing for? What are the margins on this? How do you determine what the pricing is going to be?
The pricing, I think, is key. From my standpoint, I know where I came from. I remember being in high school and having my after-school job,
Here come those illustrators.
and all I wanted to do was save up to buy a shirt that said BB.
Yes.
Right?
I
That
had
just
a
said
lot of
BB.
BB.
And if you could get the one with the rhinestone BB, you stone BB, you stone BB, you stone BB, you really made it. And I always think about,
Now notice what's happening here. She's taking her off the trail. This is called chaff and redirect. She's taking her off the trail of her question. She's not answering the question. This is really important. Cons do this. I'm not saying Meghan's a con. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm showing you what cons do. They do exactly what she's doing. Doesn't mean she's a con. I think what's happening here is she's the CEO, but she's saying she's the CEO, and everybody knows she's not, and she knows she's not, but she's the figurehead for this company. And that's what makes it sell, because it's Meghan, and it's about Meghan, and it's Meghan's. It's all about Meghan. That sounds crazy. But I believe that's what's happening. There's no way she could be the CEO of this for real, because she doesn't know anything about what's happening from a business perspective.
that version of me who there might be a brand or a person that you look up to and you want to have a piece of what they're sharing in the world. And that can't be something that is out of price range. That can't be something that is so aspirational, you're never going to be able to afford it. So there is something I think really important in that the first hero product was this $9 jar of jam, which my 15-year-old self would have been able to buy. And then after you finish the jam, you could use that to put your flowers in it, little jar, or your pens on your desk.
So keep in mind, she didn't cover how she came to the pricing on this. She didn't answer that question. Is it deceptive? I think it is. Again, she's not the CEO, I don't think. And that's why I'm going to give her a pass on this. She's just the figurehead.
So what is the path to profitability?
This is the big one. What's the path to profitability? How's this thing going to make money? This is where if she was a CEO, she'd light up and go, here's how we're going to do it, man. Check this out, and be excited about it. She's the one that fires up everybody else. If she's the CEO, watch what happens.
The scaling is going to be key, and certainly shifting out of D2C, not necessarily into brick and mortar of our own.
Of course, scaling is important. That's how you grow. That's what they're talking about in a nutshell. And D2C is direct to customer. And when she's talking about brick and mortar, that's actually building stores to put that stuff in.
But in finding the right retail partners that make sense to be on the shelves.
Do you want to see it at Target or Williams-Sonoma or?
I think a key retail partner is going to be very valuable. And also, look, if you look at the categories.
She's covering the main things you want to talk about when you're talking about the path to profitability, but she's not talking about the details.
It might not just be one. We might have exclusivity in certain ones that make sense for the consumables, but as you expand into candles or things throughout the home, where do those live that it makes sense?
The same thing's going on here. She's talking about the key elements of what happens on the path to profitability, but she's not talking about the details. She's not answering the question. So what have we learned from a body language and behavior perspective? Things can look and sound like they belong there and like it works and like it's real, but it's not. Deception isn't always the bald-faced lie you're looking for. Sometimes it's the thin deception, like we're seeing here. It's a layer of deception over something you're not familiar with if you're not into being an entrepreneur or understanding startups and how that works. And you're just getting into it and you want to invest in somebody and you want to think, wow, we can make a whole lot of money because this person has a great idea. This is how it's done. Somebody talks like this and sounds like this, like they know everything, but they can't go deep into what they're talking about. So it is deception. But like I said before, in this situation, I can't call her a con. She's not a con. She's just playing the part of the CEO. All right, if you have any questions about body language, just email me. bodylanguagequestions@gmail.com, and I'll get right on it. The BBC did a new interview with Prince Harry, and we're going to go through that interview almost sentence by sentence to give you a better idea of what's happening from a body language and behavior perspective. Now, he says he's in danger. Does he really believe that, or is he just saying it to get attention? Let's watch his behavior and find out.
Prince Harry, thank you for speaking with the BBC just as the court decision is out.
All right, there it is. First thing we see right out of the gate when she says Prince Harry, we see contempt. That's where the side of the face goes up like that. Now, what does that mean? Well, I don't think he likes being called Prince Harry because now he's what is he, the Duke of Sussex. I think that's what they call him, or what he wants to be called. So maybe that bugs him. I think it does.
Which obviously didn't go in your favor. I want to start by asking what.
Okay, I see a lot of stuff going on there, a lot of really fast blinking. His blink rate is up. So he's probably uncomfortable with that question. She's talking about him losing or whatever, didn't go well for him. And he's biting on his lip. Of course, we know that usually suggests that person is stressed and most likely doesn't like what they're hearing.
What this means now for your family. Will you no longer take your children back to the UK?
That's pretty normal for what's happening there. From what we've seen up to this point, which is just a few seconds, he's a little stressed. You know, it's an interview, it's new, and he hasn't said anything yet. And the first question right out of the gate is something's a little bit negative. So I think the blink rate there and the pausing, that's all normal.
I think it's probably too soon to tell and too soon to say. But obviously pretty gutted about the decision. We thought it was going to go our way.
Well, he's smiling when he says he's pretty gutted, so it's probably that suggests he's embarrassed. And as he's saying that stuff, he's looking around. And most people are under the impression that you look down to the left, it means you're lying. You look up to the right, it means something else. Those things mean absolutely nothing 99.9% of the time. Quite often, you'll see someone who will look to the same place when they're thinking about something. Why we do that, we don't know yet. But that's what they'll do. A lot of studies about that. That's why I feel confident saying that. Because there are no studies, not one, that says you look down this way, it means this. You look over this way, it means that. There are none of those. And for specifically having a home to go to when you think about something, that may not be the case either. So we need to find more information about that, more studies on eye movement to let us know what's really happening when that's going on.
But it certainly is proven that there was no way to win this through the courts. Wish someone had told me that beforehand.
He's staring down at the ground and he's thinking about what happened. So he's probably visualizing what happened in court or getting the news or whatever. I don't think it was in court. But that's usually not a good sign for someone who's supposed to be in a good mood or something positive. And that little laugh at the end, that's kind of supposed to blow off that part where he looks like he's in deep thought.
Yeah, the decision has been a surprise as well as not a surprise. For the time being, it's impossible for me to take my family back to the UK safely.
Sounds like he's looking for the answer. He's trying to figure out what to say there. What I want you to pay attention to during this entire interview is how many times he licks his lips. Because at the end, I'm going to play 2 minutes of that stuff. He does it 150 times in this 30-minute interview. We're not going to look at every second of the interview because sometimes he just keeps talking and talking and talking and it gets boring. So we'll just go through the important parts. But I'm going to put this compilation at the end.
You're obviously very deeply affected by this. What memories, experiences had you hoped your children, Archie and Lilibet, would have had that you think they won't be able to now with this decision?
I think what we're looking there with his blink rate, I think that might be a tick because he does it quite often. He'll do it 4 times in a row, sometimes 2 times, then 2 times. If you watch these, the clips throughout, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it might be a tick he's got. Usually when we have eye flutter like that, we're getting information we don't agree with or something that we don't want to hear. And this may be a question he may not be into. I don't know, maybe the information that he's got to give he doesn't like. So he's thinking about that information, and that's why he's fluttering his eyes. It's a neurological thing. Let's find out.
Well, for a start, the only time that I've come back to the UK is sadly for funerals or court cases, with the odd charitable function where I can in between that. I put myself at risk for that, but I will continue on with a life of public service, so I will always support the charities and the people that mean so much to me.
Usually he's pretty animated when he's giving an interview. Uses more illustrators. That's when you use your hands to emphasize specific words or phrases. We're not seeing a whole lot of that at all. It's mostly just his head moving around a little bit, and he's looking down to one side or the other, and a lot of rapid blinking. So this is a little bit off for him. So he's probably not very comfortable. There's that lip licking. Keep an eye on it.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything.
Another thing I want you to pay attention to is how fast he's talking and the volume he's speaking at, because that's going to change here in a little while. It's going to speed up a little bit. He's just getting into the groove of the interview, and he's not really sure what to say about these questions he's got right here. These aren't prepared answers. He doesn't know what the questions are going to be. So this is a little bit iffy on the confidence side here. And throughout the whole thing, he really doesn't show a lot of confidence, and I'll point those out to you as we go through, but be paying attention to that. Listen to his voice, the tone and the volume, and how fast, which is the cadence.
Despite what some people in that country have done.
Yeah, I don't think he really knows what to say yet. He's got one point to make, and you're going to figure out what that point is because he's going to repeat it over and over and over again. So far, I'm not seeing any kind of fear or anything. He hasn't brought that up at that one time a second ago, but no fear in there.
So, you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. And I think it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show, you know, my children my homeland. You know?
I don't think he's prepared for this. I don't think he prepped for this interview well at all, because we're seeing a lot of cues that let us know he's not very confident. That single shoulder shrug, we're going to see that a lot as well. In fact, let's count those as we go through. See how many you can grab. And when you see a single shoulder shrug, if usually or quite often when the chin is pointed toward and the shoulder goes up, this was pointed out to me, there are no studies on it. That usually indicates there's a deception, but we don't see that happen here. We just see the shoulder shrug go up. So I don't think he feels confident about this at all.
And as you say, you've gone back several times during this years-long battle. What about the security arrangements that were in place made you feel it would be unsafe for you and your family?
There's only so much that I can say because of the redaction process and the national security matters at hand, but everything.
Now, that sounds like that sounds like he's bullshitting right there, because supposedly there's all these things that are going on, but he can't tell us what they are. So that's a little red flag for me, the way he just acted, because he's thinking about that and how he's going to phrase it, what he's going to say. We're watching him structure these sentences before they come out. That's what's taken so long and for him to speak. And he's really good at that because obviously he's grown up doing that, you know, being a speaker, being a public speaker, and he's really good at it. So that right there is red flag number one for me, that this might be bullshit.
Everything. Because in beginning of 2020, I was scored the highest as far as risk was concerned.
I think that's true. He's not making that up. Everything looks the way it should there.
And then overnight, I was reduced to the lowest without actually going through the risk management board.
That also looks like it's true. I don't think he's being deceptive there. Again, we're not to the I'm in danger part, so hang on.
So one does question how that is even possible, and also the motive behind that at the time.
Same thing there. Not a lot going on.
And that was in 2020. And as hard as it is to appreciate or understand why the decision was made the way that it was in 2020.
Earlier, I said there are a lot of things going on here that don't usually happen in his interviews. He's a lot less animated. One thing that's odd here is when he says, appreciate. Watch what his mouth does.
Appreciate.
That's odd. I've never seen him do that before. Maybe he has and I missed it. I'm pretty good at looking at stuff like that. That's a little bit, I think he's picked up some things. I think this cat's really under stress. He's really stressed, man.
The hardest thing for me has been the fix of that decision for the last 5 years. The fact that I still haven't had a risk management board assessment done for me over the last 5 years.
When he says done for me, shows those lower teeth. We're seeing anger there.
Done for me, done for me, done for me.
So that upsets him a little bit.
Everybody else within this group of people get it at the minimum once a year.
Okay, there it is. His first illustrator, which says in this group of people.
Within this group of people, within this group of people, within this group of people.
So it should be in this group of people or in this group of people. I think he's trying to hit on this group of people. You can't put them in between. You can because he just did. But when your brain is emphasizing specific words and phrases, like I did just then, specific words and phrases, they should be on the money, right on the words. That wasn't on the words. It was between the words. But let's see what happens next.
So again, I would not have taken this far.
There it is, another shoulder shrug. I would not have taken this far. Not very confident. Like I said before, every time you see one of those little single shoulder shrugs, that lets you know that person isn't confident with that answer.
So again, I would not have taken this far if I didn't have compelling evidence.
And that illustrator's okay, compelling evidence. We'll let that one slide.
Of facts that reveal why the decision was made.
Okay, we're getting into something here now. When he says that reveal, and he moves up and moves that shoulder, something's up. He's moving into something he's thought about. There's a concept here he's gonna relay in this interview, and he's prepping for it.
And I'm sitting here today talking to you where, you know, we've lost the appeal.
There you go. Well, right there lets us know that he's not very confident because they lost the appeal. We saw 2 shoulder shrugs as he is explaining that really short section of time there as he's talking about that.
But the other side have won in keeping me unsafe.
There you go. But the other side have won. So he's not confident with this. I don't think he prepped for it. He said, yeah, we'll do the interview because listen to the sound of this thing. The sound isn't very good. There's one camera. This tells you a lot. Usually when someone interviews a royal, they want to be on camera too, or as well. And it doesn't sound very good. The microphone on the person asking the questions, it doesn't sound good. And to be honest with you, this isn't the best quality video in the world either. It's not just because where I got it. I got it from the BBC. So that's a little rough. So this is supposed to happen really quickly. And so that's why he's not prepared.
So again, there's a lot of question marks that a lot of people will have. I have all of the truth. I have all of the knowledge now throughout the legal process. I've uncovered my worst fears.
There it is. He's got the truth and he's uncovered his worst fears. Is he going to tell us what he's uncovered? Let's find out.
And to now know today, based on this judgment, that there was no legal framework that constrains the decisions of this body, Ravek, of which the royal household sit on. And I didn't know that until this legal process in 2021. One of the first things my lawyer said to me was, as disclosure started, or as this process started, she turned around and said, did you know that the royal household sat on Ravek? And my jaw hit the floor.
Now, when he's talking about Ravik, what he's talking about is the body that governs the protection. They're the ones that decide who gets protection from the government, and whether it be the royals or someone in the government, that kind of thing. So that's what he's talking about.
Well, I want to ask you about that because the king's private secretary.
There he goes again, chewing on that bottom lip, or compressing his bottom lip, basically. So he doesn't feel comfortable with this.
Sits on Ravik now.
Sir Clive Alderton, yeah.
Do you wish
And
your
and another person as well, but yes.
Again, keep watching those lip licks.
Do you wish your father had intervened, despite how that may have looked?
I've never asked him to intervene. I've asked him to step out of the way and let the experts do their job.
He doesn't really answer the question here. She asks him if he wished that his father had intervened. And he doesn't say yes or no. He just says, I never asked him to intervene. That's not really answering the question. It's an answer, but it's not the answer she's looking for.
What the court decided today was that they were justified for 4 reasons to not have that review. And a major part of that is because you're no longer a working royal, a change in your status. Do you not accept?
That's normal. He's listening. So he's kind of settled back and he's starting to relax a little bit, I think.
That from the court?
Well, my status hasn't changed. It can't change. I am who I am.
There it is again, that single shoulder shrug. His status hasn't changed and it can't change. Well, of course it can change. It did change because he changed when he moved and then said, I'm disowning you guys and I'm moving to Canada.
I am part of what I'm part of, and I can never escape that.
I'm part of what I'm part of, and I can never escape that. That's come up 2 times, a single shoulder shrug, which indicates, again, low confidence in that no wording of that answer or statement.
My circumstances will always be the same. But with a specific answer to the question, there are comparisons that exist. And again, I have to be careful what I say, but...
Okay, I have to be careful with what I say. Again, he's holding in information. I don't think there may be a few things he can't talk about, but why would he have international government secrets that nobody can hear? You know, he's been ousted. He used to be the prince. He's not anymore. Why would they leak that stuff to him? Why would he not be able to say that? No, this starting to look squirrely.
I think it would be quite shocking for the British public and the public at large.
Be quite shocking for the British public and the public at large. Okay, here we go. Going back to my theory, something's coming up. He's got a plan. That's why he's doing this. He's going to have a book. He's going to have something. Something's up.
To understand or know that, in fact, many people do know this, that people who leave public office receive lifetime protection.
Yeah, he's coming across like he's got some information that everybody's going to want. That's what's going to be in his book. Or maybe it's a podcast like Meghan's. I wish he'd do that. Oh, Lord, I wish he'd do that.
What do you say to those who ask, why should the taxpayer pay for your police security if you have your own private security?
Okay, there we go. A couple of things happening there. There again is that tick. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. The eye blink. The rate goes way up. I think it's a tick he's got. And I think he's added that lip lick thing. That's a tick as well. Now we can see those as adapters. When you lick your lips, and that could be to get rid of some of that built up stress and tension from this interview or for whatever's going on in his life right now. And when you blink your eyes that fast, quite often, like I said before, maybe it's something you don't want to hear, and we call that eye blocking. So it might be a tick from just being stressed. I think it's probably stress more than eye blocking on this, by the way he's acting, by everything else going on.
Where are the gaps there? What's your response to those who say?
And right there, that big deep breath, when he lets that out, I think he's getting rid of stress right there. I think that's what's happening. I think that's an adapter. I think this cat's really stressed.
I tell you what, why don't you ask that question again, but in 3 parts, if you could? Because you just put 3 very, very important questions together.
Sure.
And I cannot possibly answer all 3 of them at the same time.
Sure.
All right. He's got a plan. Whatever these questions are, he has answers for those. He was ready for that. So when something like this comes up, although I don't think he prepared very well for it, his concept of what he's going to do, he's got that. If it's going to be a book or whatever it is he's going to have this concept ready to lay on everybody. So I think this question encompassed 3 things that he wanted to cover separately. Obviously, that's why he said, can you ask 3 questions instead of just the 1?
Sure. What do you say to those who ask why the UK taxpayer should pay for police security? You have your own private security.
Well, first off, private security can only do so much. Again, I can't go into the details of that, but I think most people will be able to work that out. One of the major things is they don't have jurisdiction in a foreign country or in any country. They don't have any jurisdiction.
All right. Listen how fast he's talking now. Everything's changed. His voice tone and volume, those are up. He's talking louder. His cadence has sped up as well, which means he's talking faster. Thumbs up.
I can't be a private citizen. I will never be seen as a private citizen. I will never be treated as a private citizen. Not by the media, not by most people, and certainly not by anybody that wants to harm me or my wife or our kids.
And again, we're seeing that lip licking, seeing a lot of the single shoulder shrug stuff going on, bringing up his wife and his kids, how they're in danger. I don't think this guy thinks he's in danger. I don't think so, because too much smiling going on. He doesn't seem concerned. We see no concern in the brow here where we should. If you were talking about somebody, you thought you were in danger out in the public, I think your face would be a little bit different when you're talking about that than his is while he's talking about it. Don't you think so? Or you could say, well, maybe he's used to it. Well, maybe you would be. But when you think about it, it's still going to bring those emotions up and you're still going to show those things on your face. So this is looking iffy. I'm not so sure he thinks he's in danger.
That doesn't matter.
And just to be absolutely clear, what is the difference between the top level security you say you should have and the security you are given on this case by case basis when you go
So
to
the details of the security I can't talk about.
Okay. Can't talk about the details of the situation. Why not? You have some big secrets or something nobody can know about? I understand there are things you can't talk about when it comes to security, how it's done and those kind of things. That's not what she's asking you. That's not the question there. So you should be able to say, well, here's what the problem is. Here's what I think. He's keeping this stuff back for his book. I'm telling you, man, he's got a book coming.
All I will say is that the last R&B assessment that I was given, I scored the highest. The only person within the family that scored anywhere near that was my grandmother. Overnight, I was reduced to the lowest. This case-by-case basis has been used by RAVEC and also by large sections of the British press to say, well, what's the big problem? You're given something on a case-by-case basis. Unfortunately, that case-by-case basis is separated by the reason for my visit.
Now he's getting really uncomfortable. I think he's actually feeling anger here because he starts to get riled up. That's why he scoots around and sits up almost at the end and fixes his jacket and stuff. That's because he's uncomfortable. That happens quite often when somebody gets riled up and they get angry or they get frustrated. You'll see him do things like that. So I think that's what's happening here.
You've spoken very openly about the fact that you think you've been punished for leaving the monarchy. Who specifically do you think is trying to punish you?
That looks like it should. That looks normal. He's listening and going like this. Yeah, taking in information. Nothing else happening there.
I don't think that anymore. Now I know that it was, security was used as leverage.
Yeah, that thing where he's messing with his nose. He's looking for confidence there. He's trying to. I'm telling you, he's got a book coming because he's holding that information back. He wants to let it go and say, "Here's what I think about that," but he's not. I think he's withholding a little bit there on us.
And I think what really worries me more than anything else about today's decision, depending on what happens next, is that it's set a new precedent that security can be used to control members of the family.
All right, that's the root of what he's talking about there. That's the root of his problem. We saw everything we've seen up to this point, body language-wise, except for the single shoulder shrug, and he didn't get up and move around. So we're seeing that the blink rate's gone through the roof. We saw eye blocking, actually, when he kept his eyes closed there for a second there at the top of that. His voice is really loud, and his cadence is sped up. He's talking really fast. So here's the crux of it.
And effectively what it does is imprison other members of the family from being able to, choose a different life. If for me, security is conditional on having an official role, one that both myself and my wife wished to carry on, but then was rejected, not by RAVEC, was rejected by the royal household. And the result to that is you lose your security. That basically says that you can't live outside of their control.
I see what he's saying. I think you do too. He's pretty much saying, if I don't do anything for the country, and it's just me, if I've left everything, it's just me, I still need the protection of the government. This cat's got a lot of money, man. I mean, he's loaded. So he can get his own security. And if he's that afraid of security, he thinks they're against him, why would he trust them when he went back home? Why would he trust the same security that he says he doesn't trust? Why?
Both when I was when I was part of the institution and when we left. And the important piece here, Neda, is, for me and my wife, well, I mean, I'm not sure how much I can say, but well.
Okay, he got lost. He didn't know what he was going to say. These questions are fairly short, but he keeps going on. These are 2 and 3 minute answers when he's answering. He got lost there. That's what that was about. And then again, he goes back to there's some things I can't talk about. At the end of that, when he's got his hand up to his face, after that long pause, he didn't know what he was going to say. He's lost. He wasn't prepared for this, and he doesn't know what he's going to say at this point.
I can never leave the royal family. Yeah, that is my family. That is my larger family. I left the institution because at the end of the day I had to. I didn't leave it in 2020. I left it in 2021. But security was removed in 2020.
See, that part had nothing to do with the question. So he goes back to the point he made earlier of he can't get out of this. He's always going to be in that family. Can't get out of it. So I told you he was lost.
Speaking of your family, your father is ill with cancer. Will you continue to visit him alone without the family? Where does this leave things moving forward? The ability of your children to see their grandfather?
That's information intake. That's normal. Again, he's just listening. There's not a lot going on there. So earlier when he's been listening, we see a lot of that lip licking and the eye fluttering. Nothing here. Talking about his dad being sick, so he's pretty focused.
Life is a precious thing, and I'm acutely aware of the fragility of that.
There's a lot of adapting going on here. He's chewing on that bottom lip. We've got that eye flutter happening and the blink flutter, and then he's licking his lips. So he has to pay attention to this because he knows this. This is going to be one of the answers and questions everybody looks at when they look at this interview.
I can only come to the UK safely if I'm invited.
He's back to his safety again. I mean, what's that got to do with what she just asked him?
I can only come to the UK safely if I'm invited.
Again, he can only come to the UK if he's invited. Well, really? Dude, you've got millions. You can have your own security. I know there are differences in that. Believe me, I know there are differences. There are things that the UK security can do that someone you would hire couldn't do. There are going to be ins and outs that they're going to know about that you're not and your people won't. But still, you're going to be able to get in and out of there okay, I think. See your dad who's sick. I think you'll be all right.
And, there is a lot of control and ability in my father's hands. Ultimately, this whole thing could be resolved through him.
He's got that hand going up to his nose again. He has the sniff. He's prepping for this uncomfortable answer. He didn't want to say this. On the other hand, he's a little angry as he's doing it. So I think this poor guy, man, he's got a lot of pent up anger and frustration with his family, especially with his dad. His dad being sick, man, that's messed up.
Do you want the court battle to continue? Do you want to try to see this get to the Supreme Court?
I don't want any battles to continue. There is way too much suffering and way too much conflict in the world.
Okay, he doesn't want the battle to continue because there's way too much suffering in the world. I mean, that's a great answer because he goes from what I want to what's best for the world and all that. So it makes him look like this really deep dude. Maybe, I don't know, I've never talked to the guy, but he doesn't seem it in his interviews.
At the heart of it is a family dispute. And it makes me really, really sad that we're sitting here today, 5 years later, where a decision that was made, most likely, in fact, I know, to keep us under the roof.
Yeah, there's a lot of anger here, pent up anger. He dead eyes her on that one part at the very beginning as he's answering her. And this guy's frustrated. He's really mad. And I understand that. I'm sure you do too. But at the same time, his body language, he's trying to hold things together and not move a whole lot. And it's showing. Some things leak out, and that's how you make decisions about someone when they're in an interrogation situation, when they might be lying to you. You look for these little leaks. And there's a lot of anger leaking out of there. At the same time, there toward the end, we actually do see a little bit of emotion from him. And it's not necessarily sadness as much as it is frustration. We can tell that in the brow. Because if we saw sadness, there would be, and I know he's got a beard. You say, how can you see this in the beard? Well, you can still see it. You can see the movement in there. So this is called the chin boss right in here. And that should be going up this way and coming down a little bit like that. You've done it when you cried. You see little babies do it when they cry. When you're crying, it's huge. But when you're feeling that emotion and you're feeling it for real in your heart, it happens a little bit. And you can see that once you know what to look for. And I'm sure you probably do from watching videos like this all the time. But we don't see a lot of sadness in the other places we should see. We don't see it on the corners of the mouth. I know he's got a mustache. He's got a beard, like I'm saying a second ago. But still, you can see those things because you can see those things move. It's not it's like something in front of them. They're attached to it. So you can see those move, and there's no movement there. That indicates an emotion of sadness.
But then once you realized that that wasn't going to work, once they realized that, you know, myself, my wife, and our kids are happier outside of the institution, then please just look at the facts. Look at the risks, look at the threat, look at the impact that if anything was to happen to me, my wife, or my father's grandchildren, if anything was to happen to them, look where the responsibility lies.
That was weird. Did you hear him say a thing about his father's grandchildren? Listen to how he says grandchildren.
My father's grandchildren, my father's grandchildren.
When he says grandchildren, his grandchildren, like that.
His grandchildren, grandchildren.
Man, something's up there. That's weird. I think that was, obviously, I think it was planned. He's trying to put this on his dad because he knows his dad's going to watch this, knows the king's going to see it. So I think he's trying to tug at his heartstrings. And look at his brow. That's up a little bit too.
My father's grandchildren, my father's grandchildren.
And that's letting us know he's confident with that, the way he feels about it.
My father's grandchildren, if anything was to happen to them, look where the responsibility lies. You know?
Yeah, he's telling his dad if anything happens to him, it's his fault. Oh, wow.
You have expressed numerous times that you do not want history to repeat itself.
Yeah, I don't want history to repeat itself. I think there's a lot of other people out there, the majority, that also don't want history to repeat itself. Through the disclosure process, I've discovered that some people want history to repeat itself, which is pretty dark.
He really likes this business about history repeating itself. That puts attention on him because all the attention was on his mom. Remember earlier in his book and everything else, he talked about how he thought that was on purpose, what happened to her, and he thinks they're trying to do that to his wife, and he didn't want to see that happen again. Come on, man.
Through the disclosure process, I've discovered that some people want history to repeat itself, which is pretty dark.
And if he thought this was that serious and he really believed that, he wouldn't be smiling during that. It's not funny when you're talking about things like that. It's not funny at all, not even a little bit. So he shouldn't be in a good mood and smiling, talking about what he thinks the history repeating itself would be with somebody losing their life. That's not good. He shouldn't be doing that. So that is obviously not his true feelings.
Through the disclosure process, I've discovered that some people want history to repeat itself, which is pretty dark.
There again, he talks about through the disclosure process, I've found some things out nobody knows about yet. I'm telling you, man, it's going to be in a book.
That's quite a statement. Who do you think that is?
I'm not going to share it at this point.
I'm not going to share at this point. There it is. At this point. That's important. Let's get a book coming.
You know, I know all the names of the people that were involved in this process. And again, you know, you have to question, why wasn't I put through the same risk management board that everybody else was put through, including members of my family?
There it is, the mind virus, to stir up curiosity in your brain to make you want to know who these people are. Brilliant. You know, well, it's so obvious, but so it's not that brilliant, but I see what he's doing. And that's what you do. So there it is.
And you reject it not because you're no longer a working royal.
Sorry?
And you reject that it has nothing to do with the fact that you're no longer a working royal.
Whether I have an official role or not is irrelevant to the security needs that I would need.
He's just reiterating what he said earlier and making sure she understands that.
Let me rephrase that. Whether I have an official role or not is irrelevant to the threats, risks, and impact on the reputation of the UK if something was to happen. And again, that is proven by all of the examples that exist out there.
And one more time, of course, he said, let me reiterate that. That's the point he's trying to make here. And he's made it over and over and over.
So for me, having an official role was conditional on keeping security. But for everybody else, people who have chosen this life to enter into public office and then leave, get it for life.
And his body language lets us know that he actually means that. And look at his illustrators. They're landing where they should, on the words they should land on. So he's not, I don't believe he thinks he's in danger at this point. Doesn't look to me like he's very worried at all. He's talking like he's worried. He's saying he's worried. He's saying he's concerned, but we never saw any concern. We never saw any worry so far.
And finally, just because you mentioned, your connection to your country, your public service, after this years-long battle, do you think your relationship has changed with the UK? Do you feel let down by your country?
That's a big question. At this point, I'm feeling very let down.
A whole lot going on in there. Look at all that lip licking. Listen to it. You can actually hear it happening in there. It's got that sniff happening. I don't think it's a drug sniff. I don't think this cat is on drugs. A lot of people say, yeah, it is. You just don't understand. No, I've seen people on drugs. Believe me. I was in the music business for a long time. I know what that looks and sounds like. That's not what that is.
What I'm struggling to forgive, and what I will probably always struggle to forgive, is that a decision that was made in 2020 that affects my every single day, and that is knowingly putting me and my family in harm's way.
Okay, let's talk about this for just a second. He's, again, supposed to be concerned with his family and their being in danger and his life being in danger. Why did he go to the Ukraine, excuse me? He went to Ukraine. There's a war going on over there. He went to Nigeria. That's one of the most crime-ridden countries in the world. It's a very dangerous place. And he's going over there, but he's saying he doesn't feel safe going to the UK. I don't know, man. And there's nothing in his face that shows he's worried or concerned. What's missing from here from a body language perspective so far is there's no worry, there's no sadness, there's no concern. There's nothing in there that shows that he's emotionally attached to this idea of being in danger or his family being in danger. Nothing.
I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has.
Wow. A lot going on in there. Huge single shoulder shrug. So he feels, my impression is, he's not confident with that because he's getting ready to talk about his father and his health, which you're not supposed to do in his case. They want you to keep everything tight and you don't know anything that's going on, right? Not him. He's telling everything. He's like, I don't know, he's sick. I don't know how much time he's got left and all that, which he's not being specific, but that leaves an impression. And he knows that because he's not an idiot. Pretty smart guy. Shouldn't be saying that. And he knows it. I think that's why he's being quiet. Plus, you've got the emotional factor of it being his dad. But again, we're not seeing the emotion on his face. We're not seeing the body language that tells us he feels sad about that.
And now that this court battle is over, do you feel you will be able to approach your father and speak about some of those issues?
I mean, no, I don't think he would ever want to talk about it. I think he would just push it aside, and the argument will continue to be this is a government decision. It may well be a government decision, but how did they reach that decision?
All right, seems like he's being pretty serious here. Again, we see no concern, we see no sadness, no grief on his face talking about his dad. And when he says the government, we see that chin come out. That's a chin jet. That indicates that he may be angry about the government, which he would be because his whole thing is based on that, if it's true. When it comes to danger, though, every time we talk about being in danger for his life in danger, his family's, nothing showed us that from a body language perspective. We saw nothing as far as grief goes when he was talking about sadness. We saw nothing as far as concern goes when it came to his father's health. None of those things. I don't think he prepped for this. I don't think he thought this thing out. I'm not so sure emotionally he's available to feel all those feelings because I think he's must have so much stress on him it's about to get him because he's got all that lip licking happening. He's got all the shoulder shrugs happening. He's got all that just weird little things happening with him. So all that lets us know, to boil it down into a little nutshell, is he's really stressed. I think he's got a lot going on. He's got a lot to think about. Maybe he's got problems with his wife. I don't know. When he talked about her, it didn't seem like he did, but he didn't talk about her as much as he usually does. So I thought that was a little off as well. So a lot of things going on in here that usually don't go on in his interviews, and a lot of things that aren't happening that usually happen in his interviews. We usually see emotion in his interviews. We're not seeing it. I don't think we saw any body language that tells us he's concerned about his safety for real. I don't think we saw any body language that showed us he's really concerned about his family's safety for real. So I don't believe him. I don't know. You make up your mind about it, but for me, I don't think he's worried. I think he's got everything covered. I think he can afford to have everything covered. He can make himself safe. So that's what it looks to me. Now, if you've got any questions about body language, just send them to me and I'll answer them. Send them to bodylanguagequestions@gmail.com and I'll get right on it. I'm Scott Rouse. I'm a body language expert and analyst, and I train law enforcement and the military in interrogation and body language. Now, I wasn't going to do another one of these, but I got over 9,000 requests to do one, so here we are. Meghan and Harry gave separate speeches at the Project Healthy Minds Gala. We're going to go through each one almost sentence by sentence, so by the time this is over, you'll know exactly what's going on from a body language and behavior perspective.
Hello and welcome to Behavior Battles. Tonight's fighters are...
From the United States, all the way from California, Meghan Markle. From London, in the United Kingdom, Prince Harry. Those are our fighters. Here's how it works. We're going to go 10 rounds. First, we're going to look at Meghan Markle's body language. Then we're going to take a look at Harry's body language, and we're going to compare them. That will be a round, and we're going to do that 10 times. Now, at the end of the 10 rounds, whoever shows the most body language with the most confidence and the least amount of deception, that's the winner.
The fight is on!
Round one.
My husband's going to sit this one out. He just got me. How's everybody doing today? Denise.
This is the beginning of her speech. Now, it takes 12 seconds from the time she finishes hugging that guy to actually starting the speech. Now, of course, she references her husband before she starts speaking, so everybody will know who she is and why she's related to the royal family.
My husband's going to sit this one out.
Then she says, "That's amazing." Not a whole lot going on here from a body language perspective that's worth talking about.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How are we doing today? It's to meet you. It's wonderful.
It only takes Harry 10 seconds from the end of the hug to get his speech started. As he walks toward the middle of the stage, he's goofing around with his jacket, trying to get loosened up, trying to get relaxed. So far, it's a little bit early to get into the body language and say, here's what's going on, because they're just getting started. But Meghan isn't moving a whole lot. She seems a little bit relaxed, and Harry looks a little bit stressed.
Round two.
Well, we are so thrilled to be here to support, of course, what was happening in this space and on this very important day with Project Healthy Minds. So for this next panel, we're going to turn to one of the most urgent questions facing families today.
Now, this is good. She's not adjusting anything. She's already relaxed, and she looks pretty comfortable. A lot of times they'll be talking too loud at this point. She's not doing that either. Her voice tone and volume are clean and clear and strong, and her illustrators are landing on point where they should. So far, everything's working for her. She's doing pretty good, and everything looks the way it should.
Well, we're all very, very grateful that you're here today. Today is more than just about conversation. It's about community. And over the next several hours, you'll hear from remarkable people. Researchers, advocates, parents, young people, and leaders who are reshaping how we approach our mental health here in America and around the world.
He looks a little bit uncomfortable. That arm keeps shooting out and his hand is doing this number here. And his illustrators, again, those aren't landing where they should land. They're not very big either. They're very low. This isn't how it's done. This shows weakness in a public speaker. At this point, Meghan's looking pretty good. She looks confident. She looks passionate. She's speaking strong. She looks like she knows what she's talking about. Then we have Harry, who looks a little bit disheveled. He looks a little bit out of place and really uncomfortable.
Round three.
What's happening to childhood, and how and what do we do to allow our children to just be children
Whoops. Looks like we got a couple of weird mouth grooming gestures going on here. Now, what she's doing, she could have a dry mouth, and we'll do things like this, of course, when we're adapting. We're a little bit nervous, especially in speaking to a crowd like this. So on one hand, it's normal, but on the other hand, I've never seen her do this before. We may have found a new little nervous tick for her, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it, but you never know. But she's still illustrating very well, and she seems calm and in control.
And over the next several hours, you'll hear from remarkable people. Researchers, advocates, parents, young people, and leaders who are reshaping how we approach our mental health here in America and around the world.
Well, this looks a little bit goofy. He's got that leg kick going on. I don't know what's up with that. So that seems a little bit odd. And he's moving oddly compared to the way he usually moves. So something's not right here with him. Inexperienced speakers will do that. They'll march around like that, and they'll get some odd thing happening, kicking their leg out or something. It looks really weird. But I've never seen him do this before. He looks a little bit off here. There could be one of two things going on here. Number one, he can't read the teleprompter very well. He's having problems getting to it, problems reading it. And then there's number two, where he just doesn't give a shit. And I'm under the impression so far, he didn't give a shit.
Round 4.
3 years ago, we had met with families whose worlds had been absolutely shattered. Parents who had lost children to social media-driven suicide, others who had lost so many of their children to struggles with depression, anxiety, self-harm, all inflicted by online harms. And you heard some of that in the first panel with Katie, who we met 3 years ago with her mom. And just so proud of you, Katie, if you can hear me backstage, and how far she's come.
Oh no, that blink tick thing is back. She was doing so well. But her voice volume lowers just a little bit. It could be because she's talking about these people, and it could be a bit of an emotional situation for her to be thinking about that and remembering it. And sometimes that'll make you calm down a little bit. So that could be what's happening there. Now, her illustrators have gotten lower as well. Because before, this hand was up there and it was working it, and they were landing where they should land, but now they've gotten lower. So when you illustrate, you're emphasizing specific words and phrases, and she's having a little bit of trouble doing that here.
Now, the past 5 years have taught us painfully that crises rarely arrive in isolation.
Walking around like that, that's an attempt to show confidence. He's trying to say, look at me, I'm on stage, and here it is, I got this, but he doesn't. He's trying to read that teleprompter. And I don't think he read over the script before this. Usually when you do something like this, you'll at least be familiar with the speech you're going to give. You're supposed to do that. I don't think he did it because he's locked on that thing. He can't get his head out of looking at the teleprompter. At the same time, he's thinking, I still got to look confident. I've still got to do this and that. That's why we're seeing all these things flailing and flying around like that, because he's not confident. He's faking confidence. And this is what it looks like when he does it. And that little walk he's got going on makes him look like a crab, because that's the way crabs walk. They walk sideways from one side to the other. Then at the end of it, he does that little backup thing. I really don't think he has any idea what he's going to say next. And when you see something like this, you know in your gut, this person could not care less about what they're talking about. And it looks like that here. He didn't do his homework. He messed up.
Round 5.
So in the sit down that we had a few years ago, what began as individual tragedies became the foundation for the Parents Network. Now, this is a community that grew from a small pilot in November of 2022 to a global support system serving families across 3 countries by August 2024.
When you give a speech and you start walking, you're supposed to walk far away from where you've just walked. Not far away, but a pretty good bit away, because you're looking at a different part of the audience. So you'll walk over this way while you're talking, then you'll walk over this way. You don't have to be looking out at the audience the whole time, but she has to, because she's reading. That's why those steps are little. But she does good, because she takes the pro move and anchors herself there in the middle and starts delivering from there. And it looks natural when she's trying to read the teleprompter, because I believe she's been over this before. She seems familiar with it. It's coming out really easily compared to Harry.
So in the sit down that we had a few years ago, what began as individual tragedies became the foundation for the Parents Network.
Now, the past 5 years have taught us painfully that crises rarely arrive in isolation.
But keep in mind, she's on autopilot here, because all of her focus is on the teleprompter. And if you listen to how she's saying that, she's saying it just like she should. And again, Being in that anchored spot, that's the thing to do. That's the place to be. Notice how clumsy she isn't. She's doing everything she should do. Everything looks the way it should.
The global pandemic stripped away the ordinary scaffolding of life and brought immeasurable surge in anxiety, depression, and loss of connection.
This looks pretty awkward. That stomp there at the beginning, I don't know what he's doing. It looks like he's almost trying to stay on balance. And we've got this hand thing going on over here. This is an adapter. A lot of times people adapt just by doing that. But his fingers are open a little bit. They're going in and out like this. That's a little bit odd for him. Plus, when he takes that big step, he doesn't go anywhere. He's just lifting his leg up and putting it back down. This is what it looks like when you're faking it. You can feel it. You can see it. So can everybody there. This is bad. He shouldn't have done this. He should have read over the speech. He should have gone over it at least to have respect. And if they're giving this guy an award, he should at least have the respect of being familiar with the script before he goes out there and starts talking. He doesn't look like he's in charge, and he doesn't look like he's supposed to be there. I think he sees this as being below him, so he's almost blowing it off because it's not the world looking at him. It's just people at this gala. That sounds horrible, but I really think that's what's happening. I think he thinks he's above this. And Meghan is at least trying.
Round 6.
What we learned in these moments is that these parents, they didn't just need therapy. They needed other parents who understood their very specific grief. And when they came together, they weren't just sharing stories, they were creating a movement. And they did it quite well.
Again, she's anchored herself to that one spot. That's great, because when you're reading that teleprompter, it's not up close. It's pretty far away. And she's trying to read it, and without having to walk around and turn your head and try to watch and do that, she's just standing there reading it. In this situation, it's much better to do that than to do what Harry's doing. Now, are we going to talk about that wink or not?
Well.
War and displacement. From Ukraine to Gaza, Sudan to the DRC, and many places in between, have created waves of trauma for those defending their countries and their way of life, for civilians, for families forced to flee.
There's a whole lot going on here. He's still doing that sideways crab walk. He kicks his leg out and backs up again, then goes back to the other side sideways. This is odd for him. Then the entire time he's got that goofy thing going on with his hand. And where have we seen that before? Let me think.
I'm an AG. I'm an AG.
Good for you. I don't give a shit. Let's go. We're going. Let's go. We're leaving. We're leaving.
Please don't put your hands on us.
Yeah, she was all tuned up. That makes me wonder what he's doing. Why is he doing that? What's going on with that?
On to the DRC and many places in between.
He's trying his best to illustrate properly. He probably doesn't know what illustrators are, but that's what's happening there. But he's got 4 or 5 things going on up in his head for inner dialogue. He's walking around. He's trying to read the teleprompter. He's doing this thing with his hand. He's probably thinking about maggots. Something's on his mind. Something's going on here. I don't know. This is odd behavior for him. He sounds odd. His speech sounds a little slow and a little low to me. I mean, tone-wise. The tone of his voice is lower. So there's something going on here. And I think he looks uncomfortable because he is uncomfortable. It's dawning on him that he should have read this thing before he went out there and started talking. And he's trying to look like the guy in charge. He's trying to look like he's the one that knows what's happening. And it's not working. We're seeing everything from the body language perspective that says he has no confidence or has fake confidence. He's trying to fake his way through this. Now, this is a great comparison we just watched. She's in control. She's read that speech. She's gone over it. She did her homework. She's ready. She's prepared. And she's delivering really well. Then we see him. He hasn't read this thing. He isn't ready. And there's something else going on with him. I don't know what's going on with that hand. Something's up.
Round 7.
Utilizing trauma-informed practices, parents created strong bonds and offer healing support through community. They turn their grief into advocacy. And when they let love fuel their fight for change, we saw tremendous impact. This community power is crucial to protect our children's mental health online.
And she's doing good using her head as an illustrator. When she says words, she wants to make sure you understand what she's saying and that she means it. Those are working. She's doing that very well.
Climate disasters are translated into eco-anxiety and psychological upheaval as extreme weather uproots communities and destabilizes lives.
Listen to how he slurs a little bit there.
As extreme weather uproots communities and destabilizes lives. As extreme weather uproots communities and destabilizes lives. Communities and destabilizes lives.
Then we've got that crab walk. We've got that spastic leg thing going on. Then we've got the hand thing happening. And his illustrators are way too big for what he's saying.
Climate disasters are translated into eco-anxiety and psychological upheaval.
Then we have that lip compression at the end. Now, he's had lip compression at the end of almost all of these. That can mean several different things. A lot of times when you see disappearing lips, they'll let you know something's up. There's an issue at hand there. So quite often when you see someone, let's say in a congressional hearing, and they're being questioned about their ethics, they'll do that disappearing lips thing. They'll get lip grip and then they'll just dang disappear. He's got this going on, so I don't know. Something's really bothering him.
Climate disasters are translated into eco-anxiety and psychological upheaval as extreme weather uproots communities and destabilizes lives.
And again, it reminds me of that fake AG where she had her hand to go in and everything.
We're going. Let's go. We're leaving.
Please don't put your hands on us.
Round 8.
And we partnered with Girls Inc. for a program called Half the Story to reach young girls in underserved communities. We were addressing everything from body image to online safety. I saw the same thing happen. They weren't just learning about digital wellness. They were creating communities of absolute resilience.
She's doing pretty good. Now, I know a lot of you all are going to hate me for saying that, but I call them like I see them.
Our digital world has fundamentally changed how we experience reality. Young people exposed to relentless comparison, harassment, misinformation, and an attention economy designed to keep us scrolling at the expense of sleep and real human contact.
I'm telling you, man, he's swinging for the fences here because he's trying so hard to look confident and look like he hasn't been. And I don't think that's working for him at all, not even a little bit.
Our digital world has fundamentally changed how we experience reality. Young people exposed to relentless comparison, harassment, misinformation, and an attention economy designed to keep us scrolling at the expense of sleep and real human contact.
Nobody talks like that. Maybe in an 80s movie, Robot or something would talk like that, but people these days don't talk like that. And if he didn't talk like that during these talks and speeches, people would probably like him more. I know I would. I don't like listening to that. He's just trying to sound smart. Ugh.
An attention economy designed to keep us scrolling at the expense of sleep and real human contact.
The most awkward part is where he says young people. He's got that hand out and he's trying to come on like he said something really heavy, man. It's just not working.
Young people exposed to relentless comparison.
Round 9.
So the conversation that you're about to hear will help us better understand the scale of what we're facing, and more importantly, what we can do about it. Because while the research is sobering, the solutions, as we've seen firsthand in the past 2 years with these very brave and resilient parents, the solutions are within reach, especially when parents, advocates, and communities all come together.
She did really good here. She really did. I believe she knows about this. I believe what she's saying. Her illustrating is spot on. She's doing really well. She's confident, and she gives you the feeling that after this thing, if you stopped her and asked her questions about this, she'd be able to answer them. I don't know if she can or not, but she sure looks like she could. And you know what's not there? That blink tick. Thing's gone. That lets us know her confidence is at a 10. She feels really good about what's happening. Doesn't have a whole lot of inner dialogue going on up there. She's not thinking about 2 or 3 things at the same time. She's not just worried about focusing on the teleprompter. She's not worried about anything else. She's in the moment here. I really think she is. And that's what it's supposed to look like. And it does.
And, of course, economic instability, from cost of living shocks to inflation, has produced constant, corrosive stress for hundreds of millions.
He's trying to sell each and every word. He's trying to make it sound profound and deep. And it may be.
to inflation has produced constant, corrosive stress for hundreds of millions.
But not when you deliver it like that. When you're walking around like a crab and you're kicking that leg out and you got that hand to go. This doesn't look right. So when you deliver something, no matter how true it is or how much you believe in it, if you do it like he's doing it, that's not going to work. And it's not working. You can feel it. You can see it. So can everyone there. So keep that in mind if you ever have to do a public speaking event, even if you're just introducing somebody. Be confident. Get yourself anchored right there and look out in the middle of the audience. You'll do fine. That's what Meghan's doing, and she's killing it.
So I'm honored to introduce this conversation and this panel with Jonathan Haidt, Katie Couric, and parents from the Parents Network who have lived this reality and are fighting every day to protect other families. Please welcome them to Safe and Look.
Everything she did here was perfect. She smiled a lot. We saw that engagement in the brow. Didn't see any lack of confidence in anything. Granted, there at the end, she kind of rushes because she wants to get out of there because, it's over.
And Look.
And a lot of people do that, and it's fine. But she did really well there.
That's what today's about. The conversations you'll be part of about childhood and technology, about resilience and crisis, about the pressures of influence and the power of movement. They're all connected by this same thread. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this community. Let's begin.
That leg kick's about to get me, and it wouldn't be so funny if his head didn't pop out like a chicken when he did it. This is nervousness writ large. He can hardly wait to get off that stage, and he loses contact with the audience there as well. He's still got that hand thing going on. He's doing that weird kick thing again. This isn't good. This isn't good at all. I don't know what the judges are going to think. Let's find out.
And now, the judges will count up the scores, and we'll have a winner.
And the winner is Meghan Markle. Meghan did a great job of showing she was confident and that she had read the script before she went out and gave the speech. She did really well. Harry, on the other hand, didn't do so well. He was really nervous. He was uncomfortable. I think he might have been tuned up. I'm not sure. I'm not going to say he was for sure, but to me, it looked like he might have been. And that might account for a lot of things going on. A lot of that leg kicking. He had that hand thing going on. A lot of things happening there that shouldn't have been there in a public forum when you're giving the speech. All right, I'll see you next time if I do another one of these. A mystery box showed up at my door today. It's from Meghan Markle's company. I don't know who sent it, but I do have 4 suspects. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to do a Zoom call with each of these guys, and you and I are going to watch their body language and decide who sent it, because they're all going to say they didn't send it. And I'm so confident with my interrogation skills that at the end of this video, I'll show you who gives us a full confession. I also need a haircut, and that's why I'm wearing a hat. But first, let's find out what's in the box. It says, open with care. So I've already opened this, taking the tape off, so it'd be easier. And there it is. So it says on the back. Flower sprinkles. Huh? Oh, good Lord. It's a little thing of flower sprinkles. So there's that. The As Ever shortbread cookie mix. Apparently there's no cookies in it. You got to cook them yourself. I won't be doing that, of course. I'll have to get somebody to do that for me. Back there, there's the instructions on the back. As Ever herbal lemon ginger tea. A mother shortbread cookie mix. So I got 2 of these. Wait, there's something else. As Ever apricot spread. Huh? After each interrogation, we'll taste test one product from the box. Suspect number 1, Mark Bowden. Everybody loves this guy. I love this guy. He knows so much about body language and deception it would scare you. However, knowing all of that, does he have the ability to hide deception if in fact he's being deceptive during our Zoom call? Let's find out. There he is. Hey, man.
Easy now. How you doing?
Good. What are you doing?
I actually just got back from a walk with my friend Mike Serini.
Where do you know him from?
I know him. So our kids were at school together.
Oh, okay.
So right back at early Montessori school. He lives round the corner-ish. I mean, a bit further around the corner. I haven't seen him. I mean, I have seen him around because he often drives on the front here. And I'm out watering the garden and, hey, Mike. And
yeah.
But I've not spent a lot of time with him for a long time, actually. Maybe it might be as long as 2 years.
Does he live close to you?
Yeah. You just walk down the road here. You go through Sibelius Park, named after Sibelius, and turn. Here's my problem. Left. Turn left. Turn left, and he's just got a lovely house. No, the post must get through.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Not much post comes these days, but I've never
before.
A box of biscuits, yeah. Yeah, I've seen a box of biscuits before, yeah.
Doesn't look familiar at all?
No, it looks like, what's it say? Asia.
As ever.
As ever? No, what's that? It looks like something that's come from like a gift shop in the Middle East. Looks like something you'd get on the plane back from a trip to Bahrain. It looks like sliced bananas. Shortbread cookie mix.
It's Meghan Markle's cookie mix.
No.
So
that's like cookie. So it's not even, hang on. So it's not even a box of biscuits. It's a mix.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to make them here in a little while.
Excellent. Enjoy your time.
You didn't send it?
Enjoy your time.
You didn't send it?
No, of course not.
What about?
How would I send you? Why in God's name would I send you that?
Because you're funny, and it'd be funny as hell if you sent something like that.
That's not my comedy styling, Scott. That's not. But if you're driving home tonight, use your car.
What about?
But that's not the comedy stylings of Mark Bowden to send you a box of cookie mix.
Okay. Well, she also makes this apricot spread that I got.
Okay. Well, enjoy whatever you're going to do with that. That is zero to do with me.
What do you know about tea? Oh, you're British. You know all about tea. I got
I know most about tea.
Ginger tea.
Yeah, ginger tea. That's for when you're not well.
Lemon ginger.
Yeah, it's for when you're not well. That's not a tea for. That's not a. Here's what I'd say. Wherever that's come from, okay, whoever has put, as you're suspecting, I guess, you're suspecting somebody has put this package together as, a nod to great comedy. They don't know that there's no way that you would drink lemon and ginger tea with cookies. You want proper tea.
Okay.
Proper English breakfast tea, maybe an Earl Grey would have been fantastic.
Okay.
But lemon and ginger? No, that's not correct.
Do you know anything about that? Would you know anything if maybe somebody talked to you about it and said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send him this.
What you say? You're thinking that somebody talked to me about this?
Yeah, they said, guess what I did?
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
I have zero idea.
First up, let's check out the cookies. My wife isn't here, so I had to have my sister make them for me. So she's the cook. Here we go. They look pretty good. They smell pretty good. Not a bad size. The little things you see in there, those little spots and speckles, that's, they also give you these little flower sprinkles with it. So that's what's in there. But this is a separate thing. It's its own thing. They sent that separately. But let's see. It's not bad. It's really good. It's not too sweet. A little bit of salt and stuff in there, but not a whole lot. Yeah, I like them. This is good. I don't know if it's worth $14. Then have to have somebody make it for you, or you make it yourself, but it's not bad. No, okay. Thumbs up on the cookies.
It's my vision, and also the success of the brand, I believe, is rooted in the fact that you can feel when I am involved in something. And so because I have been in this state of ideation of what I wanted to have as an offering for so long.
She just said she believes the success of the brand is due to her being involved in it and you being able to feel like she's involved in it. You can feel her involvement in it.
So the success of the brand, I believe, is rooted in the fact that you can feel when I am involved in something.
That's probably the biggest narcissistic statement I've ever heard in my life. There's a lot going on there, and I feel sorry for her because that's when you hear that, man, somebody's not talking to her like she's a normal person. Somebody's not being straight with her because that's not right. Because that's not what's happening with that brand. All right, let's talk about who was lying about sending that package. Well, I know it's not Mark because Mark only showed one cue of, it's not deception, but he was smiling a little bit too much. But in this case, I'm going to give him a pass on that because it's weird for me to be calling up going, hey man, let's do a Zoom call real quick when there's nothing in the pipe for us to be doing. There's no reason for me just to call him and hang around talking, so he knows something's up. And so maybe he got a little bit tickled that I was asking him those questions. And he knows something's up, somebody's done that, but he knows it's not him and he doesn't want me to think it's him. So that may have given him a little bit of the shits and giggles, and maybe that's why I smiled too much. But just for that little instance right there. So I'm going to say it's not Mark. I didn't see anything at all that told me he was being deceptive with me. Suspect number 2, Greg Hartley. He looks mean. And he is mean. He's a big sweetheart, but he's mean. But if I can give him the shits and giggles, I know he'll confess. He won't be able to hide it. He thinks he can, but he can't. Let's see. There you are. Hey, man, what's going on?
Hey, not much. What you up to, man?
Hanging out. Nothing really.
I'll show you what I was working on when you call me. Hold on. You'll like it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that's the overcam with the two.
Yeah, it's a Corvette engine I'm going to put in that old car. I had to change out the whole front pulleys.
Hang on just one second. Okay, go ahead. I got it. Listen.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, there's our interest difference.
Yeah, no kidding.
Outdoors, indoors, outdoors, indoors.
Yeah, remember the great indoors. Well, let me ask you something.
Sure.
You ever seen one of these?
No idea. What is it?
Wait a minute.
Have you taken up some new hobby?
No.
Cookies.
Yeah. It's a cookie mix.
Are you a cookie baker now? Is that what you do?
No. You know anything about that?
Indoor activities, you never know.
I just showed up here at the house. I got this, and I got some this apricot spread and some little flowers, edible flowers that go on it, and some lemon ginger tea.
Well, everybody to each his own.
You know anything about that?
Why would I know anything about it?
Oh, there it is.
I think it's funny as hell.
So, do you know who makes that?
No idea.
What'd you get?
What's that woman, Martha Stewart?
No, this may help. It was $14. I know that much.
No idea. Well, I'm not paying $14 for some cookie spread. Number one, I don't eat sugar, so why would I buy something made out of sugar for you?
Did you think it's fun?
You know what I buy you? I would buy you almond butter, raisins, oatmeal, or chicken patties. That's what you eat. So why would I buy you cookies?
Oh, so you know what that is?
Nope, no idea. Not even any idea what it is. Seriously. I mean, I was just like, what the hell? My giggle was about what the hell you're trying to show me.
Meghan Markle, that's her cookie stuff.
Well, it wouldn't be my style. If I go send you something from Meghan Markle, it'd probably be when you're in church with a male Meghan Markle impersonator bringing it to you.
Yeah.
Just have a mail.
If
I could send you something from Meghan Markle, it would probably be bees in a Meghan Markle box, just so you could open it with all that joy that you have for your Meghan Markle products.
I know when you guys did this. I know it was you, Mark, or Chase, or Spidey won.
Well, it wasn't me. You can get rest. I thought it was kind of weird you even knew Meghan Markle made all that crap the other day. Why would I get involved with that?
Well, I had to do this. I did a thing with Kenzie Schofield. She's the one that keeps an eye on all the British stuff. And that's how I know about it.
Well, no idea. Not me.
You sure?
Sure. You're making me smile on. I'm going to skew the hell out of your baseline, man, because I'm laughing at you about thinking I would send you some cookies.
All right. Now let's try the apricot spread. There it is. It's a little bit runny. That might not be a good sign. See? Oof. I don't know what the difference in a spread and a jam is. So that's the famous one on her site is on Megan's site is some raspberry jam or something. I don't know if it's like this or not. This is like baby foodish. Let's see. All right, here we go. It's really liquidy with the apricot spread. Afraid to bend it over to roll off there. Hang on a second. That's really sweet. Ugh. That's too sweet. For me. You might like it. Do it the Lord. That's too sweet. But the smell isn't that bad. It doesn't stink or anything. But this is sourdough toast. That's not good though. I know personally I don't like that. The apricot spread, thumbs down. Too sweet.
The fact that they trust my final judgment is great on what I want to put out there. But equally, one of the things I've said from the onset, I love being part of the creative process. It's important to me. It's also where I find a lot of joy.
She loves being part of the creative process, and that's where she finds a lot of joy.
It's also where I find a lot of joy.
Well, I understand what she's saying. That's her way of saying, look, I helped create this. I really don't think she did create any of that. I think she probably said, let's throw some stuff around the room, or somebody else did that. She said, what about this? I've made this before. And they made that apricot spread and maybe those little flowers or whatever. But I don't think she's sitting around for hours trying to be creative and thinking up products. I really don't. Now let's talk about Greg. Greg has what's called guilty knowledge. Greg knows something's up. He's talked to the person who sent that thing. He didn't send it. Greg's not the one. He's not the sender. He's not the main guy, but he knows about it. That's why he's acting that way. It's not like we're in some kind of criminal thing. There's nothing really at stake here, except he just doesn't want to tell me because he said, no, I won't say anything. So he's not saying anything, but he's trying to tell me that he knows without telling me he knows. So way too many instances of laughing, trying to mirror me, all that stuff. Yeah, I think he knew what was up from the get-go. He knew what was going on as soon as I called him. As soon as I said, hey man, let's do a Zoom real quick. He knew something was up. So he didn't do it, but he has guilty knowledge, so he knows something about it. Suspect number 3, Chase Hughes. Yeah, he's good looking. He knows all about body language and deception, but can he hide it? Does he have the skills to hide deception? Let's find out.
Hey, dude.
Hey, man. Good. What are you doing?
Well, just finished watching somebody mow.
Yeah, man, you live a charmed life, dude.
It's a lot of property.
Yeah, I know. So what about what'd you have, a beaver out there? What's he doing? You got rid of him?
Come up, they had to drive and drop.
If they're going to bring something like this, what would happen?
What is that?
It looks like some kind of cookie mix or something, doesn't it?
It looks like some French thing. Yeah.
Oh. Does it look familiar at all?
Maybe I've passed it in a store or something.
What about that? That look familiar at all?
Little gray poupon? No.
No?
I haven't seen it.
Interesting. You don't know what that is?
No. It looks nice.
Does it? It's Meghan Markle's cookie mix.
Oh, man. I don't know why you would buy that.
Really? I wouldn't. Somebody would have to send that to me to be funny.
Well, I guess it's a benefit, if you use it and you enjoy it. Make a video of yourself using it. Put that on the internet, it'd be fine.
You didn't send it?
I mean, anybody could have sent that to you.
Yeah. They sure could, or couldn't they?
I don't know how to use UPS. I don't know how to do that stuff.
Really? You have somebody do it for you, probably.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. You know what Duper's Delight is? We talk about that, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you didn't send this to me?
It looks vaguely familiar, but as far as I know, I didn't personally send that to you at all.
Really? Personally, you didn't go out and put in the thing, or you didn't order it online and have it sent here?
No.
Fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What else is going on?
I heard Prince Harry is launching a new friendship bracelet line.
Is she? What?
You may want to look out for it.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, seriously, did you send this shit?
No, of course not.
Of course, absolutely not. Okay. Just wondering.
I'm not a crook.
Yeah, I know. All right, that's all I got. Now let's try the flower sprinkles. I think what you do is you just put these little things. It's like little dried flowers, I guess. Oh, it smells like hay. Wow. I don't know what you put that on. I guess. I'm afraid to eat it. Tastes like it smells. That's a flower spring. You know what we ought to do though? Have an idea. Be right back. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put on Jif. We're gonna put on some peanut butter. This raw honey. And some Hattie B's hot stuff. Hey, it comes in a powder. It's awesome. I put it on everything. See if this will fix it. So let's try. Jif is my favorite peanut butter because I'm a choosy mother. All right, peanut butter. Oh, move this out the way so you can see. A little bit of it. Not much honey, just a little bit like that. And just a hint
of Hattie B's. And this is the hot. Excellent. So it looks like that. Not that much. Now let's put on these little flowers. See if that works. I don't know how many you put on, how much. I'll do a pinch. And I can't believe I'm doing this because I know better. Oh, Lord. So that's what it looks like. Here we go. Well, I can't tell anything. Maybe it's just for looks. Or stinks. Lord. But, yeah. Maybe it's for looks, because it does look kind of cool. But, yeah. The flower things, no, I'm not into that. Flower sprinkles, oh, damn.
The analogy I say is don't bake the cake without me. Meaning, if I'm in the kitchen, I want to be part of making the batter. What's the flavor profile? And there's an entire team that can help put that cake in the oven, but I want to check it before it goes in the oven. And I want to be involved in frosting it and presenting it and the language surrounding it. I love the details of things, and I think that's where a lot of the magic comes in.
Her illustrators are good. It looks like she knows what she's talking about. But there's something not right here. And I think that something is she's parroting what she's heard somebody else say.
What's the flavor profile? Presenting it and the language surrounding it.
Because she doesn't talk about things in that structure. And by that I mean, she doesn't use similes and metaphors.
The analogy I say is don't bake the cake without me. Meaning, if I'm in the kitchen, I want to be part of making the batter.
Not often at all. When she does, they're not this simple. They're overblown. She's talking about the universe and meanings of things. But when she talks about specifically doing something, a process, she's never, ever, ever talked about that before, as far as I know, in a simile and metaphor structure like that.
And there's an entire team that can help put that cake in the oven, but I want to check it before it goes in the oven. And I want to be involved in frosting it and presenting it and the language surrounding it.
So she's heard somebody else say that. They probably said to her, well, you are part of this. You know, you're part of baking the cake. Our team is doing it, but you're there. And you can say, wait, before you put it in, let me check it out and make sure it's okay. When it comes out, we'll let you taste it and make sure it's okay. That kind of thing. So I think that's what gives her the feeling she's part of it, because whoever's driving is giving her that feeling. And they've probably said those things to her. And that's why she's like, yeah, that's me. That's what I do. That's the impression I got from that. Also, even though her illustrators are good and she's gesturing where she should, and we're seeing all little things that look like they're normal, something's not right about the way this delivery is going, because they're way too big for what she usually does. Hers aren't small, but they're not this big. Her entire body doesn't move all the time, moving her hands from here all the way over to here as her body moves too. Go watch that Jamie Kern Lima thing. None of it happened in there. But in here, she's dealing with a real entrepreneur, like a real one, and she's got to up her game. So I believe she's trying to throw her, I hate to say fake confidence, but trying to show she's confident when she's not that confident. You can just see that in there. There's a little twinkle of that fake in there. All right, now let's talk about Chase. All right, as you know, there's a whole lot going on here. A whole lot going on. Just one cue right after the other, right out of the gate. So he knows what's going on too. But is he the guy that sent it? That's the question, because what he's doing is, he knows that I suspect him. So that's why he's throwing up all those cues that are like obviously on purpose. And they're so big and they're overdone, which you saw too. That's why he's doing that. Plus he thinks that's funny. Plus I think that's funny. So he knows too. So I'm back to maybe Greg, but it's one of those two so far. And you'd think, well, there's no question that it's Chase so far because of all the cues. But that's what he's doing to show me he didn't do it. Just way too many. And I didn't want to call him out on it and say, man, I know what you're doing, all that, because he knew I knew, as weird as that sounds. So, but then again, he may be doing that for the opposite of that, like reverse psychology. And knowing him, that may be what he's doing. So let me get a look at Spidey, and then I'll know. Suspect number 4, Spidey. This one could be a problem, because not only is he a body language expert and understands behavior and knows how to find deception, he's a mentalist and a magician. He's really good. He's like one of the top in the world. So he's used to hiding things and redirecting your attention. So will he be able to do that and use those skills if he's the one that's not being honest and hide it from me when I'm talking to him? This could be iffy. Let's find out. There you are. Hey, man.
What's up?
What's going on?
Hanging out. What are you covering this week?
I'm going to do Sherry Papini. And there's nothing there. She's like totally locked down, man. It's
I don't know.
It's a tough one. She's the one that told everybody she was kidnapped and tortured.
Oh, she's a tough read?
Well, no, because she's so locked down, the smallest things pop right out. I'll send you a link to the thing that I got so you can use it too.
A lot of people I know here have had colds lately, and then about a bunch of friends in the States as well. What's going around?
Have you ever seen this kind of thing before?
No.
Wait, man.
As ever, what is that? Lemon ginger tea.
Yeah.
As apricots. What is that?
You don't know what that is? It doesn't look familiar?
No.
Really?
What are we looking at me like that for?
I'm just wondering if you know what that is. Have you seen that before?
I don't have any idea what that is, but I'm more curious as to why you're asking me what that is and looking at me like that.
See, nobody said anything to you about this? Yeah.
No. As ever, put it in focus. Strawberry cookie mix with. What do you? I don't get what's going on here. Is this a magic trick? Are you gonna do a trick for me? You're setting something up?
No. You didn't send that to me?
No.
Look at me. You didn't send that?
No. Deadass. No, I have no idea what that is. What is that? I don't know what it is. What is it?
Somebody sent me this stuff and thinks it's fun.
What is it?
It's cookie mix. This is like Meghan Markle's cookie mix. It's all a bunch of Meghan.
She has a cookie mix? So I don't know what I'm supposed to say to actually convince you that it's actually not me, but it's not me. Okay, you know what? I'll tell you this. I promise you that up until this conversation, I had no idea that Meghan Markle had a line of cookies and
stuff.
Jam. And what was the other one? Tea.
It's a spread. And I got tea as well. I got
let me know if the tea's any good.
Lemon ginger tea. And now, last but not least, the tea. And again, it is the lemon ginger tea. I was sitting in here since I sat down. It's supposed to be in here 5 to 7 minutes, so it's about right. It's supposed to steep that long. It's kind of cool because these bags actually have the leaves in them. See? That's kind of cool. I thought anyway. I get green tea that way. Smells okay. So, I think I should put some honey in it. I think I'll do that. You always see British people putting sugar and honey and stuff in. I'll do a shot of that. Just a little bit. That'll do it. You know, I'm gonna leave it in there. Let's see. still hot. Oh no, I don't like that. You ever have something that tastes exactly like it smells? That's that. And these. So she's batting 1,000 on things that stink and taste like they stink. Ugh. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that either. I mean, it looks cool, but I don't like it. I don't know. It's too lemony and too gingery. Ugh. I don't like that. It's giving me heartburn already. So for the tea,
So in partnership, while we are every day in the weeds of minutia from packaging and unboxing to the language on a newsletter, which yes, I'm one of the people who's looking at all of that and making sure that it feels reflective of my vision for the brand, it's just a constant dance.
again, she's talking about details, and it's details of things to make sure the packaging is right when you open it and how the things look and all that. There's not that much to do because there's not that much product-wise out there. She's sold out of that stuff fairly quickly, but that's probably because there's not that much of it. So what is there to look at? What is there to check out? You know, I mean, you can only go so far with those things. Everything looks the way it should, but when she's talking, she's not describing things, and her vernacular is different, and her sentence structure is different than it normally is in these other interviews and on her show.
Reflective of my vision for the brand, it's just a constant dance.
Like I said on Kinsey Schofield's show, I think the only reason she did this was to talk about that thing in the hospital where she was supposedly having a baby.
Did you see my baby mama dance?
I mean, stop it. First of all, can I?
She wanted to call attention to that, so the horribleness of that would go away. As she said, "Oh, I think it's goofy too." So I think that was probably the only reason she did this interview.
Did you see my baby mama dance?
And I know she released her products like not long after this, but still, it doesn't ring true the way she's talking and what she's saying. The structure's wrong. The presentation's wrong. If she was a product, you wouldn't buy it. I don't think you are.
Stop it. First of all, can I?
All right, now let's talk about Spidey. Like I told you before, my concern there was he is a professional magician, my favorite, and he's a mentalist. And I've been to his show, and let me tell you, it's mind-blowing. So I was wondering if he was doing things that would get my mind thinking about something else to misdirect me from him, or the answer that I'm looking for, the cues I'm looking for. But I don't think so. I didn't see anything, not even a hint of, I know what's going on, so no guilty knowledge, that's for sure. And I don't think he did it. I don't think it's him at all, because he's too concerned with the other little things that really don't matter much. Send me the tea. I wonder what it's like, that kind of thing. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is, especially with the look on his face. I saw nothing as far as deception in his face, in his body, in his words, his tone of voice. Nothing was out of place. I can tell he's a little bit tired. They've got a baby over there, a new little baby, so I'm sure he's dealing with that a lot. And I know he was between episodes. Right then when I talked to him, he's been editing all day. So that could have been why he looked a little bit off. And plus it's me, texting him going, "Hey man, let's do a Zoom real quick. Gotta ask you something." So that might have thrown him off as well, because he's in the middle of a lot of stuff. But I didn't see anything that said at all that he was being deceptive. Not one thing, unless you did. If you did, let me know in the comments, but I didn't see anything. So that takes me back to either Greg or Chase. I don't know how to call that one yet. I don't think. Maybe I do. Greg was all shits and giggles the whole time. And then Chase was more He was giving me so many of those cues on purpose. Like I said, we both knew that I knew he was doing it, and he knows he's doing it, and he thought it was funny, and it is funny. So maybe he's doing that too much, so I won't think that. He's the one. So if I was a betting man, I'd say Greg has guilty knowledge and Chase is the guy. Although neither one of them told me that when I was talking to him. I didn't get that far. Couldn't get either one of them to admit it. But I'm going to go with Chase. I'm going to say I think it's Chase.
Okay. Well, overall, you know, it's not bad. Sort of 50-50. You know, the cookies were awesome. The apricot spread was way too sweet. It was nasty. That's how sweet it was. And it's all runny and stuff. I'm not into that. These little flowers, good Lord, they stunk. And I really couldn't tell a big difference. You could taste them a little bit, I guess, when you add them with something. And then the tea was, I didn't like the tea at all, not even a little bit. So let's do this. Since I got 2 boxes of cookies, I'm going to give one away to a subscriber. So somebody who's subscribed, you could win. And they're actually pretty good. Out of all of the stuff, the cookies are actually good. I like them. I used to be a fat guy, so trust me, I know.
Hey man, I know you know, which is why I maybe made it a little more obvious at the end there, but when I was in the military, you got to take a polygraph to do your security clearances, and this guy who did mine, it was always the same guy, almost always, but he always told me at the end of every single time I took a polygraph, he said, "You make a horrible car salesman," every time. So enjoy the muffins, cookies, whatever they are.
There you have it. If you have any questions about body language, just email me, bodylanguagequestions@gmail.com, and I'll get right on it. And today we're going to talk about Meghan and Harry. And they were awarded the Humanitarians of the Year award at the Project Healthy Minds Gala. Now, they gave a speech. She talked for a minute and he talked for a minute. They kind of tag teamed it. A lot of people are saying that Harry looks a little bit off. Maybe he looks angry, frustrated, can't really figure out what's happening, if anything is. So what I thought we would do is go through that speech, almost sentence by sentence, so you'll know exactly what's going on from a behavior and body language perspective. Let's take a look.
Good evening, everybody.
Right out of the gate, this looks a little bit odd because he's pulling on his jacket, he's goofing around with his buttons, he's slapping his chest, doing all kinds of things. He looks almost like a baseball coach giving signs out to the pitcher or the catcher or whoever it is. Now, why would he be doing this? When we're nervous, when we're stressed, we use things called adapters, and he's adapting. He's trying to get rid of that built-up stress and tension. On that first walk-in, you can see his cheeks are all blown up and he's blowing air out. That's one of the best ways to do it, and it's one of the most popular and famous ways of doing it. People just go, you've done it 1,000 times, you've seen it 4 million times. And that's what he's doing to get rid of that built-up stress and tension. That's an adapter. Now let's take a look at Meghan. When she puts her hand on his back, that's one of those little dominance moves you see. When somebody pats you on the shoulder or they pat you on the back, they're being the dominant person in that situation. That's what she's doing here. Then she looks over to her left and she licks her lips. She's adapting as well. She's nervous. When you first come out for something like this, you've got that nervous tension backstage. Then when you come on stage, there's a whole different type of nervousness that happens. There's a whole lot of it right there in front of you because somebody's got to talk first. She knows it's going to be Harry. And when he starts talking, he's trying to get it together. He's trying to show he's going to give you this wonderful speech.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight in support of Project Healthy Minds, our partners at Archwell Foundation, and the true leaders in mental health access. Tonight, we're all here together.
He's still goofing around that button at the bottom of his coat. That's okay, because he does it before he does a lot of speeches. I've seen him do it several times. It's just adapting. He's getting ready. But it's like he keeps getting ready. Even as he's giving the speech, even after he started, he's still goofing with his coat. You can see him rubbing his hands and squeezing his hands. He goofs around with his coat again. Then we see lip compression. This is a lot of stress for this guy. And he's also trying to get a handle on reading that teleprompter. When you first walk up, you've got to get used to how far away it is and make sure you can read it. And that's what he's doing. But in this situation, he looks a little more stressed than he usually looks before he gives a speech or a talk. Meghan is stressed as well. She's squeezing her hands and she's got this eye blink tick that's going on. And we're going to see that thing ramp up. And what am I talking about? It's a tick. She's got something going on with her eyes that she's developed over the last year and a half. And it's this thing where she blinks really, really fast. And sometimes she'll just close her eyes. And that little shutter speed as she closes her eyes is just too slow. She blinks, opens and closes them real slow. It's really weird. But people do that when there's a high stress level going on. I think that's what she's experiencing. And we're going to see it get worse. But remember, we're seeing these because she's trying to calm down. She's trying to be cool. She's trying to keep herself under control.
To focus on what remains one of the most pressing issues of our time. Let me share a number with you. 4,000. That's how many families the Social Media Victims Law Center is currently representing.
He's goofing with his coat again, and he's showing us lip compression. This is all high stress. Now, usually, when I've seen him give speeches and talks before, his stress level drops as he starts talking. I think this might be a situation where he hasn't read this speech before this, and he's kind of going for it, and that's why the stress is so high. But let's pay attention to his body language when it comes to Meghan. Is he looking at her? Is he not looking at her? When is he looking at her? What's happening? Does he try to connect with her? Is there something going on outside of this speech that's affecting his behavior? Meghan's doing pretty good. She's got that one mouth grooming gesture, then that one step and sway back and forth a little bit. And she's trying to keep that tick under control. How do we know that? Watch how slowly she blinks. And the shutter speed on her blinks are really slow. She keeps her eyes closed too long. So she's got the thought of that tick happening, and she's trying to control it. And when I'm talking about her tick, if you still don't know what I'm talking about, watch this.
That's so kind. I am. I'm better than okay. My practice is trying to really, and it was so energizing. Really great. Do that and do that with such passion. I think it was just the most. You go have a fun dinner, and actually you might hit them even
through everything you've done, or to launch a business.
And I cannot believe. And I went up, and it always stayed with me. I got the idea.
Is like,
oh my God.
You know, so I was just like,
yeah, and how it break. There was this quote that I had up in my, but it's become so ingrained in everything. Yeah. I appreciate what hard work looks like.
It's so funny. And, you know, in the past, gosh, 15
home, and Mike having it at home. Yeah.
Meghan,
I look like a, yeah.
No, but it's like, it's in you. I was going to ask you that actually, because, but also
6 years old. Even when I had my first apartment and could change someone's, brings me a lot of joy. That's complete joy.
4,000 cases at just one firm. And that number represents only those parents who have been able to link their child's circumstance to social media use. Parents who have learned legal action is possible, who have the capacity to pursue it while grieving, and parents who found their way to help in the fight back against some of the wealthiest, most powerful corporations in the world.
Let's pay attention to that build up and release attention as we go along. It's all in her eyes. She does another mouth grooming gesture, but then she seems stable until that odd and rapid blinking starts. Now, when somebody has a tic like this, it doesn't just start right then. This has been going on for a while, and I've clocked it about a year and a half. And what causes these is a tremendous amount of stress, psychological stress, and discomfort. And there's usually 2 or 3 things going on in that person's life that are very stressful. And so you combine those things together, and these little tics start happening sometimes. And obviously, it's happening to her. So we've got an interesting situation here. We've got a guy who is usually not very stressed in situations like this, but he just can't get comfortable. Then we have Meghan. You know, she's a tough read a lot of times because you really don't know what you're looking at as far as authenticity and those kind of things. But we know when she's stressed, we know exactly what that looks like, and that's what's happening here. So this, again, makes me question, has something been going on before this speech that's been brought into this situation that's making him act this way? He can't get comfortable, and her tics are starting to pop off.
And even after this, there may be no road to closure for grieving parents because these companies refuse to disclose their child's information and activity on their platforms.
What's interesting here is that double stomp he does when he says grieving parents. Now, this apparently bothers him.
There may be no road to closure for grieving parents, for grieving parents, for grieving parents.
He may be actually reliving the story sort of in his head as he's talking about this. But something's up here because he does that double eye blink as he's stomping. Whatever it is, it's affecting him enough to show up in his behavior during this speech. And at the end of this, again, we see him goofing around with his jacket, and then we see compressed lips. That lets us know there's a lot of stress there. Maybe he just said something that he didn't feel good about saying, or maybe he didn't think it came out well. Maybe he thought it didn't sound very good. Something's up here. Now with Meghan, at the very beginning of this, we see that blink flutter, then her mouth opens and closes. And at the end, we see that tick ramping up. Now, it's getting closer for the time to her to start speaking. She's been standing there watching, and she's got all this internal dialogue going on about how she's going to begin, and she's already seen herself walking up to the podium and talking. So that's an incredible amount of stress as well, especially in a situation like this. So as her stress level grows higher, the more pronounced that tick's going to become.
If these deaths and harms were unintended consequences 10 years ago, what are they now? This is a pivotal moment in our collective mission to protect children and support families in the digital age, and we cannot do it without you.
Deaths and harms. I don't know what their fascination is with adding an S to the end of a verb to turn it into a noun, but they do it all the time. Meghan did it in that interview where she said she was the CEO. She talked about learnings and some other things. Nobody talks like that. They wonder why we say they don't show authenticity, because nobody talks like that. It's weird. And he's still goofing around with his coat, that button down there. He's playing around with his ring finger. He's exhibiting more adapters than any professional speaker I think I've ever seen. So there's something else going on here. And the thing that makes me think it might be them is he starts pulling on his ring finger. And he's twisting that wedding ring. Now, a lot of people will do that and not even thinking about their spouse. It has nothing to do with it. But in this situation, I don't know. Something's happening. And I think these two have been fussing because he's really frustrated and she doesn't have much of a problem. She looks a little bit too confident. You ever known somebody like that where you're all upset and they're still trying to look like it doesn't bother them? And then when he's finished, he steps backwards and we see that classic adapter of his, which is licking his lips. Then it's Meghan's turn, so she steps up to the podium.
Our children, Archie and Lily, are just 6 and 4 years old. Can you believe it? Luckily, still too young for social media, but we know that day is coming.
Oh, that's so cringy. She's talking about how old her kids are, and she says, can you believe it? Like they are intimately involved with her life. Ugh.
Our children, Archie and Lily, are just 6 and 4 years old. Can you believe it?
And nobody acknowledges it. That's what makes it so cringy, because she just keeps going. I mean, nobody clapped. Nobody said, oh, nobody laughed. Nothing. She just bombed. Oof.
Our children, Archie and Lily, are just 6 and 4 years old. Can you believe it? Luckily, still too young for social media, but we know that day is coming.
Then when Harry's finished pulling on his coat, he starts exhibiting that mouth grooming again. Then he sways back and forth and he looks down. This guy may have ADD or something, I don't know, but it looks like we're watching a giant kid standing back there.
And like so many parents, we think constantly about how to embrace technology's benefits while safeguarding against its dangers. And that hopeful intention of separation is rapidly becoming impossible.
She's under the impression that given this speech that somebody else wrote, that she's reading, you can watch her read it on the teleprompter, she thinks that's making her look and sound smarter. Nope, because usually she talks in those platitudes, but this is in a whole other ballpark. This is incredible. Nobody talks like that.
And that hopeful intention of separation is rapidly becoming impossible.
That hopeful intention of separation is rapidly becoming impossible. There's the problem. Fake authenticity. Nobody talks like that. Nobody talks like that. Now, Harry, he looks like he's bored out of his skull. He can't stand still. He can't quit mushing his mouth around. Now, I get it. This is pretty boring. It's a free and meaningless award. They didn't do anything for it. So I think what he may be under the impression is this is below him, is what I think. That might be what's bothering him as well, although I still think they're having a fuss or something. I'll tell you why in a couple minutes. I think he's under the impression this is below him. He's better than this. But he's doing it because he needs to stay relevant. Something needs to be happening for him. And this is the only thing they've got going on.
Now, 2 years ago, we first spoke publicly about the work we've been doing with parents around social media's devastating impact on their children. There was no better place to share this than on World Mental Health Day with Project Healthy Minds.
One skill Meghan hasn't quite mastered yet is reading a teleprompter without looking like you're reading a teleprompter.
Social media's devastating impact on their children. There was no better place to share this than on World Mental Health Day.
And Harry's not even there right now. He's thinking, did I check my email? I wonder if I called my brother if he'd answer. My dad hates me.
Their dedication to expanding access to mental health support is exactly what we aim to do by building this community called the Parents Network. We launched this program a year prior, after we had been tracking the effects of online harms more broadly in 2020. We were doing the research, we were meeting with experts at Stanford who had been trying to be heard on the findings that they knew were troubling and that would only worsen.
There it is again, turning a verb into a noun by adding an S at the end. They love that. They absolutely love doing that. I would have loved to be at the meeting when they decided harms was going to be the word. Ooh, I can't imagine the person that said, here's what we're going to call those things, harms. Hang on a second, Frank, isn't that just putting an S on the end of a verb? Like, yeah.
After we had been tracking the effects of online harms.
Not a whole lot's changed from the last clip, but she's now starting to focus on reading this thing. And the reason her illustrators are so small, and there aren't very many of them, is because she knows she has to illustrate because she's emphasizing specific words and phrases, like I did just then, specific words and phrases, that's an illustrator. She knows she has to emphasize specific things, but there's no passion in it. That's why they're so small. That's why they're so little, and they're not timed right. They're almost there. They're really close, but they're missing. What's interesting here is Harry starts blinking too. It's like he has the same tick. He's got something going on up here as far as internal dialogue goes. His stress level is rising. So he's thinking about something. And I think it's her.
And our work continued for years quietly. And then in 2023, we connected with the Social Media Victims Law Center. We met with a group of American families whose lives were forever changed by the online harms that ultimately created the tragic fates of their children. And in that first gathering, it was clear that for all of these families, meeting others who had endured a similar experience was comforting, but more than that, it was unifying. We felt the collective strength of this community coming together to heal and feeling compelled to act in a much more public way, which is what we began to do.
Now you realize what's going on here, don't you? They're telling us the reasons why they deserve this award. They're telling us why they won the award. Everybody there should already know what they've been doing. So why should they have to tell them?
And our work continued for years quietly. And then in 2023, we connected with the Social Media Victims Law Center.
Apparently, nobody there knows what they've been doing. She even says, our work continued quietly.
And our work continued for years quietly. And then
Now, I'm under the impression she's not going to do anything good and not make sure everybody knows. But I haven't heard about this before. Maybe you have, but I sure haven't.
And our work continued for years quietly. And then
So from here on out, listen from that perspective. Listen to it from the perspective of they're telling us what they've done to deserve this award because nobody knows what they've done. As far as Harry goes, I really do think he's just bored. He's just waiting for her to finish so it'll be his turn to talk.
Since then, as our network grew, we've seen the full scope of what we're facing. We have witnessed the explosion of unregulated artificial intelligence, heard more and more stories from heartbroken families, and watched parents all over the world become increasingly concerned about their children's digital lives.
Harry's at bat again, and he just can't get comfortable. No matter what he does, he can't get comfortable. And I don't know what's going on in his pocket, but it sure looks sus to me.
As our network grew, we've seen the full scope of what we're facing. We have witnessed the explosion of unregulated artificial intelligence, heard more and more stories from heartbroken families, and watched parents all over.
I don't know if I should be showing that or not.
As our network grew, we've seen the full scope of what we're facing. We have witnessed the explosion of unregulated artificial intelligence, heard more and more stories from heartbroken families, and watched parents all over.
We all know what it looks like when somebody's into something and somebody's passionate about something, somebody's telling you something they did and they're proud of it and they want it to happen and want everybody else to be into it. That's not happening here, not even a little bit. He's just reading that thing. Megan's trying hard to stand still. She's trying hard to stay focused. She's got that blink thing going on. Her got a little tick happening. She's goofing around with her ring. Her stress is high.
But we've also seen something else. The extraordinary strength and determination of parents who refuse to give up. Because in any ordinary or logical situation, those responsible for creating the conditions and facilitating the circumstances where children are led and lured to such harm would be held accountable.
They keep talking about these harms, but they don't give us a definition. They don't say exactly what they are. I think it would be a little clearer of what we're talking about if they would at least define those. Now, his illustrators are a little bit bigger here. And he's actually using his eyebrows. He hadn't used them very much at all. His brows actually becoming engaged. This may be a situation where he does actually know what he's talking about here. He may have actually dealt with this part of the whole system that we've talked about so far. It may be the only part because he looks pretty confident here. He's not goofing around with his coat. He's not doing anything that shows us he's got a lot of stress. This is what he usually looks like when he's giving talks anywhere else. So I think he probably knows what's happening with this section here. I think he's confident with it. Now, as far as Meghan goes, she's adapting with that huge wedding ring. She's pulling on it and twisting it. As well, we're seeing lip compression. In a situation like this lets us know that person's probably bored or they're ready to go, they're over it.
We are so proud that so many of these brave parents are taking a stand, dedicating themselves to fighting for change in a David versus Goliath situation, while educating others to the dangers so that they can be saved from the same exploitative practices and devastating consequences.
I think when those two people start clapping a little bit, sort of throws him off his game. It kind of ruins his confidence there because he knows he should have stopped and let everyone start applauding. Anytime you get a group to applaud, you just shut up and let them applaud. You should shut up and let them applaud. He knows that. And his hand rubbing and lip compression are back, so he's back to being stressed. Meghan does pretty good here. She stretches her fingers out, she rubs her hands together, and then she goofs around with that ring a little bit. She's just waiting on her turn and nothing big here.
When we learned that thousands of families from every corner of society were facing the same challenges, many learning for the first time that it was actually social media that took their child, we knew this movement needed to grow.
Now, you see what's happening here? He's planting that seed that he and Meghan are the reason this thing took off, right? And the reason they need to be getting this award. Again, they're telling us why they need to be getting this award or they deserve it. His brows engaged, his voice is a little louder, his cadence is slowed down just a little bit. He's selling us the reason they need to be getting this award or the reason they're getting this award. And when he says, we knew this movement needed to grow.
We knew this movement needed to grow.
Watch what she does. Her head goes down and so do her hands. She's trying to look humble here.
We knew this movement needed to grow.
Meghan Markle trying to look humble.
These families are not only up against corporations and lobbyists, many of whom spend tens of millions of dollars every year in suppressing the truth, but also algorithms designed to maximize data collection at any cost. And their kids, they weren't struggling with mental health issues. They weren't distinctly vulnerable. They were preyed upon.
He's not comfortable with this first statement he's making there. He's talking about money. When he starts talking about that, notice how he backs up a little bit. He's pulling on his jacket as he backs up a little bit. So we've got an adapter there because his stress is going up. His level's rising, right? Now, when I was the entrepreneur in residence at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, when these people I would be teaching, I would be training them to pitch, how to pitch their idea, their service, or whatever it was. When they'd start talking about money and they weren't confident with it, or they weren't the one who came up with the financial part of it, they weren't the one that dug through everything and said, okay, here's what the finances are. Let's say it's the CEO and the financial person that's given them that information, and the CEO starts talking about it. They're not confident. One way they'd show confidence is when they first started talking about it, they would back up a little bit. Happened every time. So I'm not saying that's an absolute, because it doesn't happen every time. There are no studies on that other than my personal experience as far as I know. But this looks the same way to me. He's pulling on that jacket. His stress is going up. And he's backing up as he's talking about this financial situation.
These families are not only up against corporations and lobbyists, many of whom spend tens of millions of dollars every year in suppressing the truth.
Also, his illustrators look a little bit clumsy here, look a little bit clunky. That's another thing that lets us know something's up. And as well, he's messing around with his ring in his hand again. Now let's focus on Meghan. This is something else that makes me think what he's talking about he's not sure of, or something's up here, something's not right here. Because watch her blink tick, that thing goes through the roof. Then it settles down a little bit. The further he gets away from the financial part, the more she settles down and becomes more relaxed. So it's a combination of that and her getting ready to speak again that's raising her stress level.
To understand just how the latest technology rolled out by these platforms can impact children, our amazing partners at Parents Together had researchers spend 50 hours posing as children on AI chatbot accounts. They experienced a harmful interaction every 5 minutes.
Now, if he gave an example, just one example of what these harms are, it would give this thing the punch it needs to get everybody's attention and get us interested in it. But he doesn't do that. He goes back to his pocket game, whatever's going on in there. As for Meghan, her tics have calmed down just a little bit. She's probably thinking about what she's going to say when she's up next.
This wasn't content created by a third party. These were the company's own chatbots working to advance their own depraved internal policies.
He's still goofing around with that pocket. Whatever's in there, he loves it. I should say that. At the end of this one, we see a huge mouth grooming gesture and then lip grip. This lets us know he's glad he got through this one. I'm not sure he really read or looked at the data about this because there's way too much going on when he's finished talking about it.
And depraved internal policies.
Something's up here. As for Meghan, she's still just ticking right along. This keeps going like this for a couple of minutes and it gets pretty boring. So let's move on toward the end of the speech where it gets a little more interesting.
None of this work would be possible without the dedicated people who have built this movement with us. We must give special thanks to Lennon and Leora, who helped us design this network with such care and such tremendous love.
I've got $40 that says the people she's thanking are responsible for most of, if not all of, the things Meghan and Harry are taking credit for. And when she says their names and people start to applaud, she keeps talking. She doesn't leave that space for people to thank them, to applaud real big for them. That's not good. That's not cool, man.
We must give special thanks to Lennon and Leora, who helped us design this network with such care and such tremendous love.
If you're giving someone their props, if you're giving appreciation to someone, let people appreciate them. Let them applaud for them. That's not good.
We must give special thanks to Lennon and Leora, who helped us design this network with such care and such tremendous love.
She should let them have their moment there to get some applause for what they've done. That's a big deal. They're receiving this big award for what these people did, and they're not letting them appreciate these people. That's not good. That's probably one of the reasons she's not a leader. Then there's Harry. He's swaying back and forth, and he's got that mouth grooming thing going on, and he claps 8 claps for those people. 8.
This network with such care.
8.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Now, that's the end of the speech, but this tells us more than anything. This lets us know what everyone there thinks about them. That applause at the end didn't last very long, did it? And it didn't seem very enthusiastic. Wasn't very loud. Didn't hear any whistles, didn't hear anybody whooping and yelling and hollering. No thank yous, no nothing. That says a whole lot. So,
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, if you have any questions about body language, just email me, bodylanguagequestions@gmail.com, and I'll get right on it.